everyone. Oh, hello, everyone. Just a little bit of a false start there. Welcome to this Royal News Network Saturday morning live stream. Hope you guys are all having a fantastic, wonderful, and amazing Saturday because it has been one stinking crazy week. Oh my goodness. Meghan Markle show. That went sideways even more than I thought it would. Especially with the whole controversy around her chastising Mindy Kaling. I was really surprised how sort of virally negative that got. And like everybody's picking everything apart about that show. And it is truly a bad show. It's not good, it's bad. Just saying that. Like Meghan and her team kind of want to, kind of laissez-faire, say, oh, it's bad. It's genuinely a bad show. That it got a second season is just because they filmed two back to back. And that's because Netflix, I think, is sort of desperate to recoup any costs it can from her dismal product line, which is going to suck. I just have a strong feeling it's not going to be good, that people are going to complain about it. I just have a really, really strong feeling. I also, guys, watched a little bit more of her time on Drew Barrymore last night. Oh my gosh, she sounds okay. So the whole premise of her show, and I'll do a whole video on this. The whole premise of her show is that she is this wonderful, lovely, loving, amazing, amazing hostess. I honestly think she sounds crazy. I would not want to stay at her house because I think she would drive me insane because it's kind of creepy. I think she'd be one of those hostesses that's constantly in your face going, do you want this? Do this? Like she wouldn't be able to be somebody who lets you breathe. Like she'd be constantly like breathing down your neck, wanting to be quote unquote helpful when she's really like overwhelming you and being incredibly overbearing. I don't know how Harry lives, to be quite honest. I honestly have a little bit more sympathy for him. She must be a nightmare. Like that's the only thing I can think is that she's an absolute nightmare to live with. And one of the things she said is that she would surprise her guests by sometimes filling a hot water bottle and putting it in their bed so that when they get to go to sleep, they can feel like they are being enveloped by a warm hug. And I'm like, okay, that's a little creepy for you to kind of like creep into somebody's bedroom that you've given. Like when I go to somebody's house or when I'm hosting somebody, the bedroom they're staying in is their bedroom. I'm not creeping in there to put a hot water bottle in their covers, like pulling back their sheets, putting it in the covers so that they can feel a warm hug. There's also electric blankets. Maybe they don't want that, Meghan Markle. What if it breaks and their entire bed gets wet? They have maybe a wet bed, so they don't feel like a warm hug. They feel like they've been, I don't know, splashed on. That's not great hostessing tips, honestly. And her cooking segment, guys, again, I'm going to have to do a whole video on this. She's terrible. Her recipe is so stinking simple. They have Juliana something coming on after her, and she was amazing. And like you could tell the audience was so much more engaged with her. With Meghan's, it's like the silliest, dumbest little cookie thing ever. And then the butter is supposed to be at room temperature. I don't know. It might have been a fault on the Drew Barrymore's part, but the butter wasn't actually room temperature. So they couldn't even make the cookies correctly. And then Drew goes, I can't believe you made cookies and brought them here. That's so wild. Nobody's ever done that before. And Meghan kind of bashfully giggles. It's like, yeah, because that's crazy. That's not a good thing to do. Who knows where those cookies have been, what the kids have touched. Like, that's not sanitary. It's creepy. So anyways, guys, so much to discuss there. And obviously her show was renewed, but they had already filmed it. So they either take the tax write-off or they try to get more money out of her and shill more products in the next season, hoping they can actually recoup some of their investments in this pathetic mess. Because it is so obvious how woefully she can do this role. She's not good at it. I even got a message from Dan for something to talk about on Monday, talking about how she stole a recipe from Martha Stewart, which looks really likely. So anyways, guys, not a good week for Meghan. Like despite her, little victory lap on Friday saying her show was renewed, it's not good. I think actually every time she opens her mouth, her reputation gets worse. So not good. Anyways, we will start off with Lori R here, who became a YouTube member. Why, thank you, Lori. Check out some of the very long live stream we did. And I do owe you guys a members live stream. I'm so sorry. Thursday got kind of crazy. I went to the accountant and that was like kind of halfway across town basically. And so that took a good chunk out of my day. And then my mom wasn't feeling well, so I took her soup. And hung out with her a little bit because my dad was out of town. Anyways, guys, we will do that next Thursday, I think. So, and we will do it with everyone because I think this would be a good chance to do it sort of with everyone. We've let the dust settle a little bit. Maybe we get a better idea of what the heck is going on. All right. And we got Michelle. Good afternoon. Hope you are all well from sunny London. Carol says, good morning. Kinsey posted a video this morning for heirs and spares at 7:30. I have to come to the conclusion that Katie Nichols is trying to balance both camps and not winning at all. I mean, you have to admire somebody who's trying to balance both camps. I admire that, but like the show was not good. And I guess there's probably conversations I'm not seeing. Stupid StreamYard, for some reason, is not pulling in all the comments anymore. It used to, but now it's not pulling anything that was earlier than 9:45. I don't know why it's doing that. Lizzie B says she's trying to, but she doesn't want to openly say the reality of the situation. She says the thumbnail for this video has me laughing. It's a dueling banjos. Who is more cringe? Yeah, it's so cringy. Oh man, guys, her on the Drew Barrymore show. And actually, Drew Barrymore was better with Juliana, the chef that was, I think, on the same show. She did much better with her because I think Meghan kind of brought out a little bit of that overly gushiness, and Meghan like matched that with Drew. And you need almost somebody who's not like that to sort of balance Drew out. And so when it's the two of them competing for who can be the most cringe, it becomes exceedingly cringy. Carol says, it's a beautiful day, doing fantastic. Had donuts from Dunkin' and tea. Reveling has a live at 12. Awesome. Neely says, good morning, Brittany, Miss Pippa, and everyone. Hope Miss Pippa is doing better. Treats for her. Why, thank you. Neely 7, I've started to give her bones again. She's very excited because she couldn't have bones because of her dental surgery. And then I gave them back to her. And then she got sick and I had to take them away again. So she's sort of happy. We shall see. And I'm also trying to mix in some of her old food with her new food. So we shall see how that goes. She didn't look too happy at me. Like she looked at her bowl and she like looked back at me going, why is this in here and not just a chicken, Ma? So yeah. So Carol says, Lizzie, it frustrates me to call a spade a spade. I guess that's why I like Rupert Valley. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Cop Watch Imperial says the show has dropped to number 9 on Netflix. Ooh, I was curious where it had dropped to. Because it's like, I think, let's see. Yep. Got number 9 here too as well. So not doing very well. Now, granted, again, 9 out of 10 and the thousands of videos that Netflix has on its platform. But at the same time, I just got to wonder how well everything is doing, really. So Carol says, thank you for the update. It'll be done this weekend. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Carol says they were speaking mainly about Catherine and William, and Katie was calling Catherine and calling her Kate. I would recommend getting a YouTube account to see what people are chatting about. So yeah, I mean, she will still be Kate, guys. I mean, I know some people complain, but she will always be Kate. That's just gonna be how it's gonna be. So I think some people need to get over some of that. But yeah, Meghan will always be Meghan Markle. Not just calling her Megan Sussex. All right, Patricia says, good morning, everyone. I believe I heard Megan's voice on a YouTube commercial for an Avatar game. I mean, a lot of voices can sound similar, so I wouldn't go probably that far. Oh, and Pinky Lynn, thank you so much for the super sticker this morning. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for all the support, guys, for this channel. It makes it so much funner. All right. Elaine Walsh says, Brittany, do you know what number Harry's wife's show is on the Netflix platform at the moment? So it is number 9 in the United States. I don't know where it is elsewhere. I've heard in a lot of countries it's already dropped out of the top 10. And I'm not surprised because Meghan's like, there's the curiosity factor of people who maybe follow the royals and some other things. But in like other countries, they just won't care. And so they will just tune out like almost immediately because her ideas are ludicrous. They are ridiculous. And the thing is, Meghan doesn't realize how stupid her ideas are and how out of touch they are with the normal person. So she talks about them as if anybody can do this on a budget. Like we can all take the time to get a bowl of water, get some pristine white towels, have a bit of lavender, you keep wanting to say extract, but lavender like scenting oils, put that, dip the towels in there, roll them up, put them in the fridge because, everybody has space for that. She doesn't know how ridiculous she sounds. And I think that's really going to hurt her. It's really going to hurt her. And I think people are tuning out. Yeah. So Allison said what a vile week it was. It was a crazy week. It was a crazy, crazy week. But the thing that's beneficial, I think, to those of us who are not Meghan Markle fans, is that more people are like, oh, I see it now. They look at her and they go, I get it. I get it. Because they watch that show and she just is like oblivious to the lavish luxury she lives in and how normal people are not going to. I mean, honestly, her hosting tips are kind of bad, to be quite honest. I don't think they're very good or nothing unique or interesting. And she's proclaimed time and time again how she wants to be more than a woman who lunches. And she literally made a show about women who lunch, who had the time, the energy, and the effort to do all these things. And I think it's criminal for her not to admit to having housekeepers, nannies, chefs, probably, gardeners, so many people to take care of, like assistants to run errands. She has so many people to take care of the basic things. And then she's acting like, oh, you can be a working mom and you can average this all out and it'll be fine. It's like, no, that's not how normal people live. Again, it's like somebody who just said, I exercised and changed what I ate to lose weight when they were really taking Ozempic. It's lying about how this was accomplished. It wasn't accomplished because Meghan Markle is the perfect mom and hostess. It's accomplished because she has people to literally do everything for her, except for she can do some stuff. Like they definitely have nannies. She said whoever is with them when she was talking about her kids, which means the nannies, drives me nuts. But I think, again, people are a bit more wise to all this. They're like, oh, I see what people are talking about now. I see what people are talking about now. Oh, and before we get to our super chat here from K-Spats, I do have to say, guys, if you watch the Drew Barrymore show, I posted a clip on X. Meghan talks about being a hostess it's about having grace and grace, to understand the people you're hosting or whatever. And I'm like, BS, Meghan Markle. You don't live anything you preach because we know you don't have a relationship with your family or your husband's family. So that line doesn't work because you're a hypocrite. You're a liar. Like it doesn't work. It's again, she's talking out both sides of her mouth. And I find it very irritating. I find it very irritating. And but again, people can't tell her no because she needs to stop with this line. Because part of the thing with having, let's say, a big platform, a big audience or whatever, is you have to live by what you preach in order for your stuff to make sense. And in order for people to buy you, because she's undermining her audience's trust in her by saying she does one thing when she actually does another. She doesn't live by what she preaches. Ergo, how much can you take of what she says as truth or real if she's lying on something we all know she's lying about? So, anyways, because I'm like, where was your grace, Meghan, to Catherine, William, Charles, Camilla, Harry's entire family, your father, your half siblings? The grace doesn't exist there. What about Jessica Mulroney? Grace certainly didn't exist there. You froze them out immediately. So that's a lie. All right, K-Spat says, hi, Brittany, Kelly, Long Island, NY. Love your show. Why, thank you, K-Spat. So glad you enjoy it. Stephen Magnus says, series 1 to 3 months as ever, products 6 months later, series 2, no link between shows as ever. What is driving her brand? Yeah, that is a problem. I think great. And thank you so much for the super chat as well, is that her there's no connection between anything. Again, guys, we have so many competing brands anymore. It's kind of insane because she has, as ever, with love, American Riviera Orchard, Megan Sussex, Duchess of Sussex. We also have the Tig that she still floats around there from time to time. So there are literally, guys, 7 brands and 7 names that she has put out there for various things. I think she also has just gone by Megan and stuff. It's like, it is all over the place. There is no consistent branding. There's no consistent narrative. It is literally all over the place. And her justification for certain things are shoddy. They just are. So I don't think that bodes well. Don't think that bodes well for her at all in the future of her brand. Peggy Spungen, thank you so much for the super chat. Good morning, Brittany. Was wondering what your thoughts on why Meghan corrected Mindy with Megan Sussex. I thought it was a very harsh thing to say to a friend, yet producers kept it in. So I think it's kind of clear she wants to go in this direction. But instead of naturally letting this happen, she does the stupidest thing and just chastises a woman who is more famous and successful than she is, which is never usually a good look, and who's supposedly a friend who also has the number one show on Netflix right now. It's not Megan, it's Mindy. So Mindy's winning. And it was one of those things where it's just was not well done. But again, the producers can't tell her no. And I'm sure, like, I think anybody who works with them after a certain period of time is just like, they just want to get it over with because she's so obnoxious and overbearing and controlling that they just give up and they're like, whatever the heck you want. And sometimes they're like, she wants it in there because she wants to fix part of the narrative and be Megan Sussex now. They're like, and they probably know she looks awful, but they just keep it in there because she wanted it and they don't care anymore. That's the thing. Megan creates such, I think, I don't want to say damaging, but she creates such caustic, toxic dynamics that when it comes to, you know, the relationship, like I think people do subtly throw them under the bus when they can, just because they can. And they're like, this is our little bit of revenge. Because it was, I think, a really clunky thing to go through. And her explanation is ridiculous because plenty of actors and actresses have kids whose last names are not theirs. Jennifer Garner's children's last names are Affleck. She's not complaining about it. She's not freaking out, oh, our family. Because again, it all comes back to Megan is it's all more about the look than it is the substance every single time. So she wants it to look more like a family. It's like, but why do you care if you are a family? Why do you care about the title if your family is there anyways? So that's a bit ridiculous. So anyways, Seba says raw chicken uncovered in the fridge besides an above uncovered vegetable. Salmonella City. Thank you so much, Seba, for the super chat. Yeah, so many weird things in that show. So many weird things in that show. And I just don't think it helped her at all. And it, like, honestly, if I was Megan at this point, I would just scrap the show and just take the loss and move on, because I think it's actually better for her not to reveal more of herself to the public. Because the thing is, she again claims to be this sort of, you could say, intellectual, this philanthropist, this woman who thinks and does things with deep intention, when she's really shallow, vain, and vapid. And the more she shows herself, the more it's becoming so obvious how shallow, vain, and vapid she is. And that's not helping her brand. So, all right. So Carol says, I thought it was interesting Megyn Kelly picked on that Megan never took the time to learn about her guests. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. I loved what Megyn Kelly said as well, because it's something I've come to the conclusion of, is that Megan, despite everything, is wildly insecure. She is a wildly insecure person, and I think needs constant validation. And her insecurity mixed with her narcissism, mixed with her control issues, are like create a lose-lose scenario for her, I think, every single time. So anyways, very interesting. All right, we got Cheryl T in Oklahoma. Thank you so much for the super chat. Good morning, Brittany, Miss Pippa, RNM Peeps, Goose, Vinny, Misty, and the Fosters, Fern and Otis say woof, and Squeaky the cat says meow of indifference. Why, thank you. Why, thank you so much for the super chat and for all the fun little puppies. I hope they're having a good day. Miss Pippa should be having a good day downstairs. Hopefully she's watching the neighborhood and giving them a what, 2 and a 3, 4. Makey Moo says, actually, it's afternoon where I am. Time flies. Yes. And I'm like, I got, like, we're in this season of year where I am, where like the temperature is sort of fluctuating, that it'll be hot and then cold and then hot and then cold, or not really hot, but like warmer. Today's a warmer day. And I was like, oh man, I need to turn on my AC because I'm dying in here with the lights and everything. And my lights are not that big, guys, but I'm hot. But I think it's just like I technically have the heat on, but I'm like, hot. Rit says, pretzel unbagging and putting another bag was revolutionary. Yeah, she'll never live that down. It was just, again, think about it. Like, wouldn't it make infinitely more sense if you're buying them for him to get them, all of them, in the bag, to put them into from one bag into another? Again, it's all about this like obsessive overbearingness, which I would think she's a nightmare to live with and to like go to her house. I would think she'd be a nightmare. Joan G says, why do you think Harry fell in love with Meghan? I truly don't get it. He was definitely loved bombed. I'm sure she had some nice little tricks in the bedroom that made him quite happy. And she was just willing and able. And like, I think too, what Harry saw, like Harry was, Harry, I think has been always interested in celebrity. And I think a lot of people were. And then he, I think, was just totally and completely excited that she was like a Hollywood girl, even though she's really not. That he was so like fascinated by that idea that he was just like, oh yes, I'm one-upping my brother, and she's so glamorous and stuff, even though she was on like she had a two-bit part on a like a basically a legal soap. Like she was not a big Hollywood star, but in Harry's mind, she was. And I think he did see some aspects of his mom, but he wasn't mature enough, I think, when his mom passed away and wasn't as close to her as William was, is to understand that the maybe some of the aspects of Diana that Harry saw were actually the worst aspects of her personality. And he married somebody that's like worse than she is. So it's like he didn't like he misinterpreted, I think, a whole bunch of signals. Like, yeah, it's not good. So, anyways, I think Harry fell in love with the idea of Meghan, though, and not really, probably really Meghan, because he never really got a chance to fully know her because they only lived in the same city for a couple weeks before they got engaged. So he never really got to know her, to be quite honest, because they always lived apart. It's a lot easier to pull the wool over somebody's eyes. We don't see him every day. Peter Jean says, thank you so much for the super chat. I know Harry is a simpleton and he was desperate, but every time I see Meghan, I think, how on earth did he fall for that? Yeah, me too. But it also goes to show, too, and I hate to say this, guys, and I'm not saying this to be mean, but Harry's not a bright guy. He was an easy mark. And he, like, William would have seen through Meghan Markle in 2 seconds and shown her the curb immediately. Harry's dense. He's dim. He's not that bright. And he was easily taken. And a lot of other like, and we've gotten reports, guys, that pretty much every single person in their circle, like the royal circle with Harry and William, all saw what Meghan was really like, and we're like trying to go, Harry, why this one? Why this one, bud? Slow down, slow down. And Harry was just like this arrogant fool. And yeah, cause like I watched her, guys, that cooking segment on Drew was embarrassingly bad. It was really, really bad. And I was like, she's supposed to make a stinking career out of this when the actual chef, like not meaning to at all, just showed Meghan up completely, just explaining a whole bunch of stuff. And the audience members, I saw this one, even a guy was like, yeah, like she explained something very, very interesting that in order to get like it crispy on the top and more, let's say, juicy on the inside, I think her suggestion was to actually keep the steaks in the refrigerator until right before you cook. I learned nothing from Meghan because it's like we've all made those similar type of cookies before. There is nothing interesting about them. The only interesting thing is her fruit spread, but it's kind of funny too. She sort of justifies, she has to explain, guys, why it's not jam. Because she's like, jam is equal parts fruit and sugar. And oh, that's so bad. Let's let the natural sugars, you know, through to the spread. And I'm like, she's like, I've been tinkering with this recipe for years. And I'm like, sure you have. I don't believe you. So it'll be interesting to see her life's work if it lives up to the standards. But yeah, I don't get what Harry sees. I think she's mediocre all around, to be quite honest. So I don't see it. I don't think a lot of other people see it too. And honestly, I think living with her, like, I think that's a nightmare. Seems like a nightmare to me. Heather says, who invites people over only to talk about how wonderful they themselves are and never asks anything about their guests? Such grace, Meghan. Yeah, she doesn't have a lot of grace. So she doesn't even probably really understand what grace is. Grace and everything is always supposed to be referential on her. Never is she going to like love on anybody else in that way. And again, that's such a shame because grace is a great thing to have 100%. And it's a great thing to do with people you are close with and stuff. But when it comes to this whole series and everything, Meghan just completely and utterly, destroyed herself, I think, here, and is just being revealed to the world, which I think is helpful because it kind of pushes against the narrative that people don't like Meghan because of the R word, but no, she's just not likable. She's just not normal. She's not a great hostess. I honestly think she's probably not great. Does everything look good? Yes. But she's also somebody who sounds like she focuses more on making sure everything looks good than actually maybe connecting with another human being. That's the impression I get from her show. Cheryl T in Oklahoma says, change the subject. King Charles is being criticized for his Ramadan activities shared on social media, yet it was radio silence regarding Lent. As head of a church, his silence is puzzling. Thank you so much for the super chat. And yeah, it's a little, I mean, I can't totally say for it, but it's one of those things sometimes where Charles is like, oh, Charles. They want to bend over backwards to support, you could say, the Muslim community so much. It's like you're the head of the Church of England first, and that is like the Church of England, where you live, where you're the king. Focus more on that than other religions. Yes, you need to be welcoming to all, but you should say, which I don't think you can really even say more, is that this is a Christian nation and, it is Christian nation first. I don't think it's good idea to always be so deferential to necessarily like other cultures that compete with your own, because at some point you might find yourself being the minority in your own country, and that's never really a good thing. So you got to be careful. But yeah, a little disappointing about Charles for sure there. Maggie says, good morning, everyone. Brittany, thank you for all your hard work this week. I hope Pippa continues to recover. Why, thank you. Manky Mumu says, I don't know why I was shocked, but I couldn't believe it. She was showing Mindy how to make daisy chains. We all did this in primary school in the UK. And to think this makes a good TV. Yeah, it was lame. And again, guys, pretty much everything she did could be found on YouTube, Instagram, anywhere. I watch, sometimes I'm not really a cook, but I get drawn into some of those videos where somebody's just making something. And I'm like, that looks interesting. That looks good. Nothing Meghan made it looked good to me. Nothing in it was particularly interesting. And go and support a small creator because they can do much better than she could. I mean, she looked like such an amateur compared to Juliana. There's no Ellen. Is there an Ellen at Juliana? Anyways, she seemed lovely. Sheepy says Harry didn't want to work. He wanted a life of service. He was looking for a sugar mama just to take him and make him richer. Meghan convinced that she could. I don't think he was looking for a sugar mama, but was he looking for somebody who would be, I don't know, supportive of him? And yeah, like he wanted the easy life. And Meghan definitely didn't, I think, come in going, oh, Harry, I'm going to make you a bunch of money. No, but he found out pretty quickly that she was not satisfied with the 2 to 3 million pounds a year they were getting when even they had all their, like most of their basic needs met. She was not happy with that amount. All right, we have Joan G. Good morning from Kansas. We have Ritz. I like sprinkles, but only on my ice cream. We have K Coffee. Good morning from Central Florida. Elizabeth says, hello from Manitoba, Canada. At least we can say Meghan is very good at being very bad. Yeah, she's very bad. Definitely not a great hostess, in my opinion. Alienated says, yeah, that's generally how it is. She was in the right place at the right time, and Harry fell for her. And this was a response to something Carol said earlier, is that Kenzie, Royal Daily Tea, said that it was all about timing. Meghan fell into his life when Harry was desperate to get married. I mean, that definitely was part of it for sure, but definitely that she was an actress of Hollywood. I think that scratched an itch for him. And he was like, oh, this glamorous, successful woman, when really her successes were minimal. Like they talk about how much more successful Meghan was than Catherine. It's like, sure, yeah, maybe Meghan had a little bit more opportunities to like grow a career. That wasn't exactly the case for Catherine, because she like was pretty sure her and William were going to get married, especially after a certain point. And she didn't want to take any job that interfered with, that got too invasive into her life and into his and those sorts of things. And I totally get that. But it's like Meghan's accomplishments are not that impressive, really. She was a mediocre actress. She had a mediocre blog. Like, let's be real here. Deborah says, good morning from Alabama. We have Mayor Toner. Good morning, Brittany and Miss Pippa. We got Marjorie Johnston from West Ireland. Christina says, hi, everyone. Who here is so glad they didn't watch the show? I know I am. I mean, if you want to go to sleep, it's a great show. Great show. Sharon says hi from Prince Edward Island. Very interesting. Location, Creative Chaosify. Hello, Brittany and R&M fam. We have Rafaela, who sent hearts. We have KCA. And Carol said St. Patrick's Day is coming up. Corned beef and cabbage. Yummy. This is from Carol. Ooh. Clyde says hello from snowy Yosemite. Aw, I love the Yosemite. It's so pretty. Signal Scan says, with love, Megan season 2. Megan finds a hairnet. Oh, man. Can you imagine how gross those cookies would have been? I'm sorry. I can't get over how disgusting that is. Like, she bakes cookies, has her children help, and like grabs her friends and forces them into slave labor to help her make these cookies. And then she packs them and then carries them or has an assistant do it, because I know she didn't do it. Put them on a private plane, another assistant drag them out, get in a car, drive to New York, put it in a hotel room. Maybe the bellman helps bring them out. Like, the amount of times these could have changed hands is disgusting. It's nasty. Butterbean Queen says good morning. We have Carte Blanche, happy Women's Day. Yes. So we have Stargirl and Terrace. Good morning from Northwest Oregon. I never make lies. Excited. Yay. I'm so glad, Jessica. All right. K Coffee says, I'm so happy I didn't watch the show. Surprised it broke the top 10. Me too. But I think kind of what happened is because of all the negative news, there was definitely people who were like, is it as bad as people say? And that was some people. But I imagine, again, this is just my thought, is that most of the views come from episodes 1 and 2 and maybe the last one, and that is it. Loopy says, hello all, just checked in with Love Megan is now at number 8 in the UK. Ritz says, from once being referred to as HRH, Her Royal Highness, to this. Yeah, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing how pathetic it is. Babette says, morning all. You have Roseanne says, good morning, Brittany and everyone from NYC. DS says, Brittany, have you recovered from going live 3 hours binge watching in the hideous show? Cannot believe we all got through that. Well done, RNN fam. Phew, it's over. Yeah, I will say Tuesday was kind of an exhausting day. And then I was like doing other things and I kept thinking, oh, I'll get to bed earlier. Oh, I'll get to the gym. And last night there was some sort of accident that downed power lines on like the road I have to take to get to the gym, because they're building one really close to me, but I live a little bit out in the boonies. And so I had to drive like 20 plus minutes to get to the gym. And so I was like, the like down power lines was going to take like 30 plus minutes to get in. I was like, you know what? That's not worth it. So I wanted to get to the gym yesterday and it didn't happen. Laner says, hi, Brittany. Hello. Clyde says, Laners, we had a heavy snow a couple days ago, coming again this week. If good, if they say melt. Yeah. I hope it melts quickly. Elaine Walsh says, Brittany, do you have any idea how much Megan's progress will cost on her website? Sorry if I knocked the mic in the sound. So this is what happened when they were testing the site and putting the site on test, is that all the products were labeled as $25. Now, I think that is most likely an average of what things will cost, or about what things will cost. I can't say that for certain, because I found it to be an interesting number, because when you think about it, if like, why wouldn't you put $10 or $5 or something? Why put in $25? You know, I think 25, that is either the peak of how much it'll cost or the average of how everything will cost. And nothing there is worth 25 bucks. Nothing there is worth 25 bucks. So I think it's ridiculous. Like, you're basically paying a premium for somebody's royal title. But I am sort of curious, like, I may have to order something for testing purposes, because I can't review it fully if I don't try it. It's kind of like reviewers who go to watch what they know are bad movies, but they review it, so they have to. I am sort of, because she claims to have worked so stinking hard on the spread, I may have to try that just to see if it's worth it at all, if it's even halfway decent. Drew Barrymore gave her a very glowing review, but I'm curious if it's not. And I don't think raspberry is a particularly good flavor to go with. Raspberry on my level of fruits is pretty low. Like, I would have gone with strawberry, but she must not have been able to do the strawberry thing the way she wanted to. And she made such a big deal about strawberry. It feels really weird now that she's going with raspberry, which means something went wrong with the strawberry. So again, poor planning, poor execution, everything. Maya says, good evening from Japan. Well, thank you so much. And good evening to you. I'm trying to think of All I can think of is konnichiwa, and I don't know if that's hello or thank you or something. I don't remember. I'm so sorry. But thank you so much for tuning in. That is awesome. I know it's late there or very early in the morning, depending. Wendy said, hey. Mary Marr says, good morning. What's next for Meghan? So more stuff on Instagram, but she needs to do better on Instagram. I'm curious now if she's done anything else because her Instagram offerings, guys, have been pretty lame so far. And she needs to do more. If she's going to really embrace this lifestyle brand thing, she has to do more than what she's doing. She needs to be making stuff. I don't want to say every day, but at least once or twice a week, she should have a video or reel that goes up on Instagram of her using her products in some sort of way. That needs to start. I would say, argue immediately. She should be doing that. That's what she should be doing. If not, yeah. Desert Dream, she's the modern Veruca Salt. Yes. About Meghan's mental health with the kids in a scary situation. It's not, I don't think mental health in a bad way, but do I think she's a barrel of laughs to begin with? No, I do not think so. Kate said, hey, from Alabama. We got Ivy House Bark Lady J. Hello, everyone. Greetings from Germany, Deutschland. Guten Tag. KCA says she can't connect with other humans. She really can't. She really struggles. She really struggles. So no wonder nobody liked her in the royal family. You can't really get along with her. Or at least maybe you can't really it might be too, though, because she's so putting on a facade in front of the cameras that the people who get to know the real her never. She might have a totally different personality off camera, which I would imagine is somewhat true. Carte Blanche says $25 equals $36 Canadian. Yeah, it's probably going to be pricey. But I mean, the stuff is so blah. I need to talk about that too, guys. The product offerings are so incredibly blah. Kim Marie says, put your soothsayer hat on and give him an estimate of when William will ascend the throne. I want to be there to renew my passport. Thank you so much for the super chat. So I don't know when that'll be. Gosh, it depends on Charles's health. I do worry about his health a bit. A conservative estimate would be 10 to 15 years, but a non-conservative estimate would be 5 years. It could be as little as 5 years. I don't think that's what William wants because I think William wants his children to be out of school or at least in the university by the time he ascends to the throne. I have a funny feeling that's probably not going to be what happens. And I don't think the stress Harry's putting on everybody's lives is helping them at all. Godzilla Manstrup says, good morning from Chicago. Christina Rogers says, good morning from Chile, Detroit, Metro Detroit. Hope Pippa is feeling better. Why, thank you. DS says, wait a stinking minute. Season 2, I'll definitely not be watching. So will a lot of people. Because again, guys, I think there's the curiosity factor, the morbid curiosity factor that is part of this. But I don't think that'll translate over into season 2. And I don't think they'll have enough audience to bring over from season 1 to season 2. Laura says, good morning, Brittany and Miss Pippo. I thank you. Laura says, hello from sunny or snowy northwestern North New Jersey. I can't decide which right now. Delphinium Sunshine says, good morning. What in the world will she do for season 2? More of the same boring stuff? She's no Martha Stewart. Yeah, same. More of the same boring stuff. Literally, that's what it's going to be. Creative Chaosify says, Meghan Kelly noticed something interesting. All of Meghan's questions about the guests were voiced over as if the producers made her do it after the fact. It never entered her head to inquire about others. That's good catch. And yeah, I'm not surprised. She doesn't really care. She doesn't. She didn't even know, I guess somebody else pointed this out, that she didn't even know Daniel was left-handed. That guy's been doing your makeup for how long? You should notice which hand is his dominant hand. That should be sort of obvious that she didn't know. Wow. Carol says, Brittany, thank you for taking one for the team this week. Your videos were wonderful. Why, thank you. We got Rose says, hi, Brittany. Lizzie B says, she sounded so judgmental with Chef Roy and Mindy. She did. She really did. Linda says, hi. Christy says, yay, it's the first time in a while I'm catching a live when it's not live 1 hour later. Awesome. Kate says, Lady Aver, I'm in Athens. Ooh, fun. KCA says she might be on the spectrum. I mean, I guess she could be. Desert Mermaid says, hello, all from sunny Arizona. Thank goodness we got rain yesterday. Awesome. Hello, Carol. We got Butterbean Queen says, good morning. Carol says, Lizzie B, you got that feeling also. Godzilla Manstrap says, narcissists are impossible to live a healthy life with. Yeah, I would agree there. Panagotia says, Meghan hates that Harry and the kids are royals, but she's not, so she tries to take them all down to her gutter level. Exactly. Exactly. That was kind of my argument in a video earlier this week is, yeah, she despises the fact that she's not royal. And it's like, it might be one of those things, though, to be in her corner, you could say, or at least advocate for her. You could say that she didn't think it would bother her until it bothered her. Like, that could be definitely true. But I think she should have known this. If you can't stand the fact that your husband and kids are different, then don't marry in. Don't marry in. Or have the confidence to know that, yes, in some ways you're not as important as the rest of your family members. But that's not because you as an individual human being are any less important. It's just in the world you live in, deference is paid to those who are actual family, not married in. And it takes a certain level of respect to get there. And the thing is, though, within the family, they obviously embrace those who marry in. They totally embrace them as members of the family. Yes, within the hierarchy on the monarchy, there is a hierarchy that they all must abide by. But when you see them out together, the hierarchy just doesn't seem to exist. Mike pokes fun at the queen. He shows a hat inside a hat for her amusement. Because yes, he respects her and respects that she was the head of the family, but at the same time, he has fun, and that's why people like him and enveloped him into the family. People love Kate's grace. And yes, I think Kate or Catherine obviously worries a lot about making sure she looks the best she can in public. I totally get that. I would be the same way. I'd be wanting to make sure I just had the best look on every time, not because I'm conceited, but just because it's part of her job to look her best as often as possible. So, not criticizing Kate there at all. And so, but she has bided her time. She has done her job well. And I think there were some tensions maybe very early on in the days when she was dating William between her and the York sisters. But I think most of those are bygones be bygones at this point. And it's just about consistency and just being there with others. And then things come together. And that's what happened. So Stephen Magnus, who's been a member for 2 months, thank you so much. Jars contain 7.6 ounces or 215 grams. Seems like an odd size. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't. Well, let's see. Hold on. We do actually have something to compare to. So this is 13 ounces. So it's half of this. Wow. That's not a lot. Okay, hold on. Let's see. So we got the strawberry jam preserve here from the Palace. It is 200 grams. So the amount of jam you get from her is a little bit more than this, but not as much as this. So I don't know. Great thing to point out. So interesting to note. Just curious what this is. This is 12 ounces. So 340 grams. So definitely more than, that's not a lot. Golly, I hope she's really not selling it for $25. She's going to have a hard time. So we have Kristen M. Thank you so much for the super chat. Hey, Brittany, I've been following royals since Catherine and William got married. It's so sad to see how toxic royal watching sphere has gotten all for nothing. Yes, I would agree. I've been watching them for a long time too. And guys, there's always been people who didn't like Catherine. There are people who don't like Mary, but like everybody sort of agrees to disagree. Like there wasn't like the vitriol. Meghan has made everything so toxic. Everywhere she goes, she sows toxicity and division. That's not good. And it's frustrating because even the people who are on the Will and Kate side have gotten a little bit, you could say, as nasty too, because Meghan has pulled everyone down to her level as she always does. And it's just a nastiness that's there before. Like, I think because of Harry and Meghan, now you really can't criticize Catherine and William and like have legit criticism without people going off the handle about it. And it's just one of those things where it's just sort of crazy. But I think people are reacting because of the Harry and Meghan stuff. They're even more protective of Catherine and William, which adds more toxicity to the system. It's just not good. It's just not good in my opinion. So I don't particularly like it. Freya Cat, thank you so much for the super chat, said, fashion question. How many tiaras do you think the British actually have? I've heard of 50, but I think that includes some dismantled ones. So yeah, we definitely do have one that the queen dismantled. Sorry if I'm making noise. Like I have this like thing that helps protect the carpet, but now I feel like I can't get close enough and I'm kind of changing. Anyways, so I mean, 50 wouldn't be terrible. I don't know if I can name all of them off the top of my head, to be quite honest. But yeah, I think there's several we still don't know about. And we have ones that we haven't seen in a long time. There was one that the queen wore that kind of had crescents. There's the actual tech crescent tiara. There's the sapphire bandeau tiara that we haven't seen in a long time. There's the turquoise. I'm really hoping the turquoise still exists, guys. Oh, Catherine, I want you to wear the turquoise so much. I think it would look gorgeous with her brown hair. There's a jewelry brand, and I'm really bummed I didn't get the necklace, but I was pretty poor at the time, so I could only afford the earrings. But they had these gorgeous turquoise earrings, and there were small studs with turquoise and diamonds around, and then they had a matching necklace. And I was so bummed I didn't get the necklace because I got the earrings though. I haven't worn them in a long time though. I'm gonna have to find them now that I'm thinking about it because I just thought it was so cool. And I think turquoise tiaras, like if there's too much turquoise, I feel like it's a little lame, but I think it actually looks super cool. And so I'm really hoping Catherine wears that. Really hoping. Heather says, guys, she's Megan Sussex now. Thank you so much for the super chat. Yeah, I mean, there was a way, guys, to introduce that into the system that would have been beneficial, but I almost just don't want to do it just because she was so bad at like doing it. We have a Panchu says, I'm creeped out by Meghan recording herself reading a book to the kids. So when she's gone, they can watch the dang thing. Yeah, I think it's okay. So I understand wanting to connect you with your kids, but it's like, they should be able to have somebody else read a book to them. And what about their father? Why isn't their father reading the book to them? And why does Papa have to show the video of you reading the book when he's there if he can just read the stinking book? Like, it's just kind of weird. I don't totally believe it. But do I believe her when she slipped and goes, whoever is with them? Yeah, she definitely slipped. Won't forget that, Meghan. Thank your nannies for the work they do. Stop alluding to this idea that you do it all yourself. Just tell us how much you appreciate the nannies and how they help you get through the day. Let's be honest. Chantal says, good morning in the Netherlands. Megan started at number 8. By Friday, it was number 10. And today fell out of the top 10. Only mentioned as new. And here's the thing too, guys. Netflix is a global brand. So even if something does, let's say, well in the States, like Stranger Things, they'd prefer something that's great international. So like, I don't know if its record has been beaten yet, but One Piece was like the number 1 show in like 80 plus countries. And so it had this huge global audience. So it started growing its audience here in the United States, but it had a huge global platform and people all over the world consumed it. And that is huge. So Megan's little rinky dink show that's only really going to, I think, appeal to Americans at the end of the day, because, and I don't think anybody else will get anything out of it, to be quite honest. I can see why it's falling out of the top 10 everywhere, if it ever made it there. Betty Gossel says, good morning from Oklahoma. Lady Aviator says, happy Saturday, all. Celebrate my 39th birthday yesterday. Happy birthday. Enjoying the weekend with RNN and sharing it with family and friends. Friends and family, I should say. Thank you. Carte Blanche says, is it that cold in California? It can get cold at night, especially because it's more of a desert. And they're up further north, so I understand why it's cold. But it's like you do have something called an electric blanket. And maybe they don't want to be hugged in bed by your water bottle, Meghan Markle. Vivette says, hot water bottles are not a thing in the U.S. I think they might be in the UK. Copying again. Wouldn't be surprised. And apparently Harry does it for her when she's feeling blue, or she demands he does it. Rafaela says, imagine what she does to Harry. Kind of haunting 24/7. Yeah, honestly, she seems like a nightmare host. Like you would want to get out of there as soon as humanly possible. It's like, oh, can I get a car? Like, I got to wonder now if her friend Daniel was actually really staying at her, because they mentioned cottage, which could be the cottage on their estate. They have like a little second house thing. But I also am thinking to myself, Huh. I wonder if he was staying somewhere else because to actually stay with Meghan Markle is a nightmare. Ritz says, anyone remember a movie with David Hyde Pierce years ago called The Perfect Host? I'm getting those vibes. Oh, okay. Now, okay. I'm going to have to write that down, guys. Because is that like a horror movie type thing or like a comedy about the perfect host who's really like overbearing? I'm going to have to watch it because I'm like trying to think of, okay, how can I describe this to people who aren't watching, like what I see happening based on what she's saying? And it might be just me too, but I'm just like, so I like if I'm staying somewhere, I want my room to be my room. I don't want the host coming in and out of the room all the time. That's weird. That's weird. Okay. So we have Aletha McFarlane. Thank you so much for the super chat. Beatrice back to work as patron with Bourne. Is her patron assigned by King Charles? Can she be patron on her own? So here's the thing about working royals and where Harry and Meghan got things half wrong. So non-working royals, sorry, I said working royals. I meant non-working royals like Princess Beatrice can actually be patrons of things. They're not royal patrons like working royals are. It's sort of a different patronage where they are royal, they can represent, but they're not working royals. So, I mean, there's probably not a huge differentiation in some ways, but Beatrice is basically doing this as a charitable activity, whereas royals, it's more about work. So I guess that's the difference is royals, it's about their work. Beatrice is more like she wants to do this to be charitable. And she did this and people criticize me for it, which I thought was really weird, is like she obviously gave birth really early because her daughter was only 4 pounds. It's like, well, that's like 3 pounds less than a child should be. So this is a patronage that represents women who have given birth prematurely. And so really young babies. So it obviously makes sense with her personal experience that this is an organization that appeals to her. Totally understandable. So, but yeah, she does this as an addendum to what she does in her normal life, whereas royals, it's part of their work. So that's sort of the big differentiation there. So Rena K. Ossify says tall women are often self-conscious about their height. The first thing she said to Delphina was, "You're so tall," facepalm. Yeah, it's like, what did you expect? And I just really did think it was kind of a backhanded compliment for Meghan to go, she's as pretty on the outside as she is on the inside. I was like, what does that mean? Maggie says, hello, my name is Olaf and I love warm hugs. LOL. Oh, yeah. Carol says, good morning, Desert Mermaid. Rose says, I ask guests if they want a hot water bottle. Yeah, like that's a more normal thing. But the way she described it is like she would sneak into their room to surprise them with the warm water bottle. I'm like, that is weird. Godzilla Manstrap says that was a lie, Pancho, in my opinion. Yeah, I think a lot of things she says are exaggerations. Elaine says all her recipes can be found online and on Pinterest. Yeah, and they're super simple. I was so surprised though that her butter wasn't room temperature. And so it's like she can do it. It's like, does that normally happen on shows? Because I would imagine that's part of the directions, but she's just said butter instead of room temperature butter. They would get her butter from the refrigerator. Carol Stevens says, and yet Netflix is giving her season 2. I mean, they already filmed it. It's already in the can. They either air it or take the tax write-off. Those are the two options. Wendy Van Rokel says, thoroughly modern Meghan would use very old-fashioned water bottle. Maybe she could try an old-fashioned warming pan to heat up the bed. Well, and it's like some people don't want maybe their bed super warm. Like I lived in a pretty cold climate at one point, and I did definitely have an electric blanket, and it did help because it was hard sometimes to keep things warm. But I wouldn't say that's for everyone, and it could get pretty hot sometimes. So yeah. SEJ says, good morning from Michigan. It's not a real season 2 or a season 2 pickup. The whole thing was filmed at once. It's part 2. Yeah. I think that's more accurate to say the first season was split up into 2. Pam says, good morning, Brittany. Morning. We have Betty Gossel. Cold and rainy day in Oklahoma. Zapanka says, hi, I am sorry I'm late. No worries. So Pancho says, and I feel like I don't remember which comment it was. Godzilla, it's so disturbing. I don't know what's worse, if it's a lie or if it's true. Who concocts such a bizarre story? Yeah, that's the thing. Meghan concocts really bizarre stories. Like this whole story of this, because she babysat for 2 Irish American families, somehow that Catholic Irish families or something, somehow that detail of the story was important, but it's really not. And, talking about how A grown man told her that make sure whoever you find is your person, Meghan, that they always date you. And I'm like, I don't believe a man said that, let alone I could see very effeminate men maybe saying that, but I think most men would not say that, especially to a young woman goes, you'll know when you meet your guy, and that once you do, you just got to date him forever. And that's just not possible because the mundaneness of life will always catch up to you. Rafaela says, why can't Meghan enjoy her money without doing anything? Well, because she needs more money, infinitely more money. Carte Blanche says, what about the raw chicken in the fridge? Touching cut vegetables. Yeah, pretty nasty. Caroline says, hi from a hot Australian night. It's just after 2 a.m. Well, go to bed. Oh, I hope you get enough sleep. Gina says, good morning from sunny Las Vegas, but thank you so much for tuning in as well. DS is so funny. Megan said, since we put our energy into making this is going to be in a different bag. You literally put corn in the cup in a microwave and stuck it in a bag. That's not exhausting. No, it is not. No, it is not. Popcorn's super easy to make, guys. I make it all the time. I shouldn't make it, but I love homemade popcorn. I make it all the time. I'm able to do it just myself. Dawn says, I wish Pamela Anderson was getting some attention for her show. It looks like it would be good. Yeah. Trina says, I would end up elbowing her. She tried to invade my personal space. Yeah, she's very clingy. Cannot make it the France trip. I'm so sorry, Trina. I'm very excited about it. Although, guys, I wasn't going to do another trip this year, but they put on a new itinerary. And I got to say, I really am thinking about it. So it's one to the Christmas markets, so in the Baltic states. So Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. So I've never been to those 3 countries. Always wanted to go. Seems like a cool time of year to go. And it would be a cold time of year to go. But last time I did it, my trip was too long. It will be right before right after the Nobels. And so I may do the thing where it's like, if I can do the Nobels, I'll do the Nobels. If not, I'm going to get there the day before. We're going to rock this thing because I'm not arriving too early. I'm not doing a 2-week thing like last time. I got too exhausted by the end, but very excited about that possibility because seems like an amazing thing, and be back again right before Christmas. And then I'm already looking at trips for next year. So one I want to do is the one to Crete. So that is the island. I always wanted to do that. That would be amazing. So you would go to the Minoan civilization area, see some of the ruins there. I think it's called Knossos. And that's where the legend of the Minotaur came from. And you can see him jumping over the bulls. Very famous, fresco and stuff. Very excited about that possibility. So that one will definitely be one. Did you notice that all her guests have to praise her in every episode? Yep. Natalie says, good morning, Brittany. I was wondering if back when Harry and Meghan were getting married, did you think it would turn into a train wreck it is today? Or did you have high hopes? I actually did not have high hopes. I did not like her. And I didn't like her from the jump, and not because I wanted Harry or anything like that. I just knew as soon as she was courting the press, as soon as the news broke, she was courting the press with that Instagram post of the spooning bananas. She was teasing them. I knew, that was going to be a problem because you're marrying the spare. You can't be teasing the media like that. And it immediately got me thinking of somebody who's sort of the desperate D-list, who always wants the attention, can never get it. I mean, guys, I honestly thought that when the relationship was revealed that it was a joke, or that she spread the rumor because she was desperate for attention because she was a D-list actress, because I had no clue who she was. And I follow a lot of Hollywood stuff pretty closely. And so I did not have high hopes. Did I think it would turn into this train wreck? No. But did I see that this was probably not going to go very well? Yes. I did not have high hopes. I didn't even get up early to watch the wedding, although I was so curious about what the title would be. I had to look it up. And I will say, guys, when it came to her wedding dress, I was curious what it would look like, and I was sort of looking forward to that. And then I was disappointed by the plain, sort of ridiculous monstrosity that she had, especially the veil. The veil was a monstrosity. That thing was ridiculous. And I was like, oh. And I think that's the perpetual thing. You keep feeling like you should be impressed with Meghan, and you're just like, oh. Janice says, good morning from Oregon. Clyde says, I don't think Meghan cares if her show is good, just as long as she's a star and it's all about her. Yeah, and apparently she doesn't look at any of the negative reviews, so she doesn't know how bad it went over. Not surprised about that at all. And so the question becomes, like, will she be surprised if it's canceled? Will she try to farm it out to somebody else? Like, because the thing is, Meghan's quote unquote so passionate about this. Well, why didn't she just put it on YouTube? Why not focus on projects like, gosh, what is it? Like fictional projects, movies and TV shows. Why not focus on that rather than doing dumb documentaries? Those have infinitely more rewatchability than your initial reality, any of your reality stuff. Do that. Lucy Lou says it's like Meghan is age 15 and playing house in pretend kitchen. Yep. Maggie from Arizona said, good morning from Phoenix. Chatty Kathy says, good morning, everyone. What a week. I'm so tired. LOL. Yeah, me too. I am tired. Nicole Duke, thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. That I really do appreciate that. That is amazing. Team Wales says, hi, everyone. First live stream in a while. I still can't believe the Sussex thing. Is Harry okay without his family name of Mountbatten Windsor? Then lose your prince and duke title as well. Yeah, if she goes by like Harry Sussex now, like I'm going to be like, oh, dude. Even William in his legal papers went by Mountbatten Windsor. Hey, Arva says, she's a serious mental case. Do you remember Charles Manson? No, they're not the same. It's very, very different. Very, very different. Ann A says, good morning, everyone. Marjorie says, Netflix are so going to squeeze every dollar they can out of Meghan. Yeah, because she's cost them a lot of freaking money. And I would say she's undermined them quite a bit too. She served bananas with strings on them. Steven says, I've been watching your Meghan Markle videos one after another. It's hilarious. Why, thank you, Steven. I'm glad you're enjoying them. Creative Chaosify says, Maureen Callahan said that our reaction to Meghan is a normal evolutionary reaction to someone who isn't quite right. The cringe you talk about is your brain screaming stranger danger. I mean, that's kind of true. That's kind of true. There's just something about her that screams us off. And that's the thing, especially I feel like because we are so inundated with personalities and everything, we all I think are even more adept at picking up on people who are fake. And so Meghan just totally fits that, and she can't get it out of her brain that she needs to be herself, not whatever Meghanism she's creating that day. And so she's constantly, I think, battling with that. Rosario says, what's with every day of her Netflix shows drops a top 10 spot. Yeah. Somewhere it does, and it drops into obscurity, and it's not rewatchable. Nobody will ever rewatch it. SCJ says, I only saw the clips of these channels on the Drew show, and Drew was not even close to how she usually is. I don't know why people are lying about that. Meghan was forced on Drew, not invited by. That is interesting. Yeah, I did think she was better with Juliana. So I was like, oh, her interaction with Meghan was weird. But she has done sort of cringy things like that before. And so like, kneeling before Dylan Mulvaney a year or two ago, that was cringy. That was cringy. So I think for some reason Drew was like overly gushy, but it might have been her love for Diana. She seemed to have a great love for Diana, and she was trying to express that, and Meghan was totally like, ugh. So Christina says, thanks for asking. I was wondering the same thing. Sharon says, do you think Meghan is really unaware of the bad reviews? I don't think she probably is, to be honest, but does she want to be bombarded with them? No. Like, we have been told in countless things, she doesn't want to hear anything negative, which is not reality, which is not real. It does not help you. Gretchen the First says, morning all, coffee ready, hubby out for the day, hoping Brittany can make sense of all this crazy week. I mean, some of it doesn't make sense. I mean, they do, and they don't. Mickey Moo says, I've watched her show, but from the clips I've seen, to me, it feels very much like playing mummies in the house when we were kids. A little bit like that, yeah. Michelle says, also Meghan's computer glitches when she doesn't have a script. Yeah, she does glitch. Marjorie says, Miss Pippa is a sweetheart. She is honestly very much a sweetheart. She gave my mom lots of cuddles this week when she wasn't feeling well. She like got up and she's like, cuddle me, cuddle me. Aletha says, McFarland says, good morning, Brittany. Boston checking in. Do you think Meghan has dirt on Netflix? Send a message to Netflix that we are withdrawing our subscription until they drop from our airways. No, I don't think Meghan has any sort of dirt on Netflix. I just think Netflix, and this could be Bella Bajaria, who is like kind of, it seems like their point person at Netflix. It could be Ted Sandros. It could be somebody within the systems for some reason thinks she's bankable. But again, she makes a lot of noise, but does it convert? That is a question, because sort of the big thing we have here is that I come back to, and I did this in my video yesterday, guys, her Instagrams aren't moving like they should be as she's gaining popularity. They're not moving. There are people who are not nearly as famous as she is, do not have nearly the amount of headlines she does, that have more Instagram followers than her. And with a show coming out, if it was so beloved, we should be seeing movement there. I think Netflix, it's kind of the thing of, you could argue Harry. Harry has made a stupid mistake and he has to know it at this point. Everybody in his family told him not. So he's going to stick in the relationship probably longer than he should, just because he doesn't want to be told, I told you so. And I think Netflix is feeling that. So they're like, well, we're trying to get into the different lifestyle space. And they attempted to get Joanna Gaines. And I think they were really hoping maybe Meghan would turn out to be somewhat like that. But no, that was a dumb idea. It was a dumb idea. Like, I'm not trying to sugarcoat it anyways. It was stupid. And it is just not going to work. Cause like her cooking show isn't even a stinking cooking show. Like, her dishes are like basic and they don't even look that good. Her cookies didn't even look that good. I'm like, why are we supposed to, as an audience, be that invested? And so and the writing's on the wall. There's stuff fizzles and then fades and it's not converting. Again, the biggest indicator, guys, right now is going to be the longevity of things, especially for her show. But they want the views or whatever to turn into people buying her products. I don't think that's going to happen. It's going to happen on a small scale. She might get, like, the thing is that's kind of dumb about the Sussex Squad is that they aren't actually helping her in some ways. Because let's say the Sussex Squad, they want to buy out everything. That I hope to goodness that Netflix puts a limit, or Meghan and her team do, because they really need to have realistic metrics. Because yeah, you might have this small minority of people who want to buy excess of every single freaking thing you do. But it's not real consumers. They might resell the things on the market with a markup, making more than you do. And at the same time as well, you aren't having new customers, because at some point those people might start to run out of money, that they don't have to throw at your stuff anymore. Then what are you going to do if you can't build your audience? Again, this is all going back to like business 101 things. Even when I was trying to edit the video yesterday, I was like, oh yeah, there's this program and I can make shirts and sweatshirts and hats and have them be print on demand, so that if people want stuff that says Royal News Network, they can get those type of things. I need to do that. And I was just sort of thinking about it all of a sudden. And I was like looking at the website and stuff. And it's like, I just don't think Meghan has this ability to do these kind of things. It'll just be interesting to see. Anyway, sorry. I got all sorts of lost track of my thought. That's happens sometimes, guys. Heather, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, show won't have any staying power. It's one and done, which is why it will fail. Exactly. And I don't think the looky-loos and the curious, again, unless there's something like super interesting sort of in the next series, which could have to do with like the California wildfires or whatever, maybe, just maybe, that might, I mean, although given how they were called disaster tourists and stuff like that, if they put, let's say, them going and seeing a burned out home for the first time with the owners, that'll be incredibly stupid. But they might, she's kind of not that bright. So I think the looky-loos who who wanted to see if it was as bad as people were saying for season 1, I don't think they'll be back for season 2. And the Sussex Squad as well, I feel like they do her such a disservice by playing her videos ad nauseum to fake bolster the numbers, because that's not giving them a good read. Watch it, and then if you like it, watch it again, that's fine. But stop playing it on every stinking TV in your house. You are not helping the woman, because Netflix is going to have high expectations and then she can't meet them because you guys created high expectations that she can never meet. I'm like, that these people think they're helping her. Seriously. All right. We have Peeper Jean. Thank you so much for the super chat. Megan's constant fake smiles give me uncanny valley vibes. A little bit. A little bit. You felt it a lot in the Drew show, especially when Megan gave the woman the cookie. And the producer looks to Drew as if saying, are you serious right now? They're really this bad? That's what I felt like. And Drew was like saying with her eyes, yes, yes, they are that bad. That's what I literally felt like they were communicating. I could be totally wrong, but I don't think, because Megan had to go tasty, right? As a chef, you want to let, you want to go, what do you think? Not saying tasty, right? Because then she doesn't give the girl a chance to actually come up with an interesting reaction. It almost looked like they were like so like stale or something. She was having a hard time chewing that. I don't know. Anyways, I'm just spitballing, guys, but just didn't look that good. Oh, Monica, wow. Thank you so much for the $50 super chat. I do really appreciate it here. I believe streaming network seasons are different than TV networks. With streaming, it's usually all filmed up front and split into 2 seasons. Network TV actually is approved to have more episodes recorded after getting positive outcomes. Yes, you are right in a lot of ways. That is definitely true. Like some properties, it depends. And Netflix has done weird things too, where they've split seasons into 2, and it's sort of weird. So it's one of the things that networks are definitely doing. And yeah, streaming sort of has this weird thing where they're not counting on like actual good outcomes. They're not counting on that. And I think that's a bit scary in some ways. So like Wednesday did incredibly insanely well. So they did order a season 2, but they were so backlogged. And the talent had committed to other things that by the time they got around to the second season, it's 3 years later. So I mean, they'll get a bump of people watching the first season again, but then you get to the second, and will it be as good as the first? And that's what sort of Netflix's problem is that the first season of something is always incredibly good and the second season is often subpar. And so that's a huge thing. Sort of, you could say the 2 big shows that are going to have to sort of prove that maybe are Wednesday and One Piece, that both have second seasons coming up. And they both have big franchise potential. And so if they miss the landing, then that could be detrimental. But yeah, Netflix, I think, wanted to have as many opportunities as possible to capitalize on Meghan for the short time they had them. And if they commission, let's say, another season now, she's so slow that would take them forever to get her to the next metric, or she might drag her feet. This is actually maybe kind of smart on Netflix's end, because they definitely made it known, hey, this is already filmed in the can. So this is not a renewal based on performance. This is something we had already had done. So I think that what's sort of interesting is that they knew they had a tough time getting anything out of Harry and Meghan. We've heard this time and time again. So what they thought was like, hey, we will say, oh, honey, we will do 2 seasons, film them back to back. That way we have the content and we don't have to worry about trying to get you back and you dragging your feet and not knowing what to do. We have it all done now, so we can do this all. And hopefully we can time this so that your products are more prepared and we can actually make more money. Meghan just doesn't seem to understand that hard work equals more money. Generally. Not all the time, but oftentimes. And she just kind of seems to want to meander around and just people give her stuff. So yeah, that's not how it works. But yeah, there's not as much of a performance metric here. And it's also harder because when it comes to linear TV, is that you do have the opportunity to sell commercials. And the better your show is doing, the higher you can pay for commercials. That's not the same case as streaming, because number one, there's no transparency in how things perform. The company shares their metrics, but you don't even know how good those are. It's just what they're reporting, so it's questionable at best. And so you do have this thing too, where you have this sort of weird dynamic thing going on, where you have these television series or whatever, where you know some of it, but not really everything going on. You don't know everything going on, and that's, I think, a huge challenge for anything going forwards. So we shall see with this, but yeah, I can't imagine that this will translate into many buyers. Again, guys, it's not translating into Instagram followers, and that is for free. Now, granted, she's not doing a lot on there, But you would imagine if somebody had a huge show that their account might shoot up by a couple million, given her profile, but it barely gained 100,000. So it's slow going. So anyways, thank you so much, Monica. I really do appreciate it. We have the Canadian Beaver as well, who have gifted 5 Royal News Network memberships. Well, thank you so much. I know some people will really, really enjoy them. Again, guys, we'll do a full live stream with all members next week, probably on Thursday. And then we will figure out more things. I got more vlogs for you guys. Got more stuff coming up. I do have to share with you guys. I got the cutest picture of Miss Pippa. Like I have like 2 screens here, so there's like a little crack right here through it. And she was sleeping on the blankie, and I was like, "Oh, baby." Laquite, thank you so much for the super chat. I think Netflix is anti-monarchy, and Meghan fulfills that propaganda of opposition and monarchy hate. I actually don't. I don't think that. But what they do know is that the monarchy makes money. So keep that money train flowing. Yeah. That's easy. Steven says now Megan can record in Lebanon a podcast now. Well, apparently they should be mostly done. They should be mostly done. So we'll see. We'll see at this point. Thank you so much for the super chat. But yeah, they should be mostly done by this point. But if it's another season of archetypes, like number one, that's just stupid because the first season failed. Like, why would season 2 be any different? But yeah. Anyways, we got Josie says Megan stole Haley Duff's dog biscuit recipe in her 2013 from the Real Girls Kitchen book, which Haley gave to Megan. She even copies the bone shape. Yeah, it's not a surprise. Cart says people are just watching episodes 1 and 2. Yeah, that's what I think too. Christy says Megan is only using Sussex title that way. That is because of all the talk of the title being taken away. Now, if that happens, be a nasty royal family again. I don't think though that messaging will work much anymore, though. Rafaela says Archwell is associate producer. Megan is an executive producer. Is Netflix investing any money, or is this show a Megan funding Megan enterprise? They're funding it. They're funding it. Like the money coming from the Archwell and Megan is from Netflix, most likely. Linda says it's not a season 2. It's part of season 1. Yes. Neely says hopefully Megan drops off the charts into oblivion. Elena says, when do you think Megan's ARO do you think that when Megan's ARO trademark failed in September, that's when she decided to do her show in 2 parts to buy more time to launch her products? No, I think it was a Netflix decision. And I think they probably knew that it was going to fail. And like, okay, going back to the drawing board, what are you going to do? Because she, again, has to make money. The world is about making money. You know, it's about a lot of other things too, but a business is about making money. And she's working in a business and they want to make money. And they can't make money off them if they're producing crap content or content that they can't capitalize off of in any way. Clyde says, evidently Netflix doesn't care that our show sucks. Enough hate watchers to keep it. Please don't watch for any reason and dump Netflix. I did. No, I mean, people do have to watch it to review it, and there is hate watching. But Netflix does care that even though there was a lot of buzz about it, they do care if the metrics aren't great. And they will really care if she can't sell products or if the product distribution, something goes wrong. That'll be something they aren't happy about. So I think they're just saying they don't mind hate watching, but the thing is hate watching turning into customers? That's the big question. And did anybody sign up for Netflix just to watch her show? Because they need more people to sign up to watch their stuff. But if only people who already signed up watch and nobody signed up additionally just to watch this, then they know that. They know a lot of metrics that we don't, and they will happy talk different things. DS says, "Oh my goodness, I thought they were going to make out they were so close to touchy. I think Megan finally met her match." Yeah, and I think it upped, like you have cringe on cringe and it just became too cringy. Vladka says, hi from Croatia. Megan shows on 7th place here. Didn't watch it and don't want to. I enjoy your review more. Why, thank you. Josie says, Megan put the dog biscuit in episode 6, but Megan added a bunch of honey, which is not good for dogs since peanut butter was already sugar. Yeah, not surprised she made it worse. Roko says, the moment Megan started lying during the engagement interview, it opened everyone's eyes. We all saw what kind of person she was. Only blind was Harry. Yeah. Yeah. Michelle says, hello, everyone. Here in Costa Rica, the show is nowhere near to be found on the top 10. Yeah. Carol says, season 2 will lose percentage of viewers and she may not even be able to make the top 10. I agree. I think she'll lose a lot of viewers. Because again, it's not just hate watching. I think it was more that's a section of the audience, but I think some of it was actually people who were like, they're seeing the reviews and like going, it can't be that bad, guys. It can't be that bad. And then they watch it go, it is that bad. It is that bad. So I think that was a big portion of the audience. Ms. Potato Pirate says, good morning. Thank you for the shout out the other day. Megan can only keep friends if they think they're indebted to her. Can afford a fruit rainbow for breakfast. Just a boring banana for me. Yeah. Yeah. So glad to do a shout out because I'm not always good at remembering things. Like I read things and I'm like downloading information so much. And then I go, I got this idea from someone. I don't remember. So I feel bad. Glad I can write it down though. JT says Netflix danced with the she devil and got exactly what they deserved. Horse shit TV and nobody wants to watch because Megan is a gold digger. I mean, that's not totally it, but yeah. Ender our cat says, Brittany, according to Rebecca English on Thursday, Catherine was always Catherine. And it was the press who called her Kate, and she was and is really annoyed they call her Kate. I never realized that. So that has always been sort of reported, but like William called her Kate in the engagement interview. So I don't think she is necessarily immune to be calling Kate. Like I think she's mature enough to realize that's just how people know her. And it's probably not worth it for her to just, people would be annoyed if she constantly goes, like she walks up to somebody and somebody calls her Kate and she goes, Catherine. Like she could be really obnoxious about it. And she's not. Because I think sometimes, yeah, that's not necessarily what you want. But there's a maturity that comes with accepting the things you cannot change and just going, okay, I am Kate to most people. That's fine. You know, nothing like if people call me Brit, I don't really care. I think there's just something to not having some like I'm sure maybe when she was younger it bothered her more and be more because of how the press used it, like Waity Katie and stuff like that. I think that did really hurt and I understand why. But I think given her many years now in the public spotlight, I doubt she cares that much. Like, she would drive herself crazy if she did care that much. I hope to goodness she does not care because she would drive herself crazy. That is not what you want. That would be like a Megan thing. Why does everybody call me Megan? Megan. You would drive yourself absolutely bonkers. So I'm sure maybe it's not what she prefers, but I hope to goodness that she just accepts that she probably can't change it that much. And it's just like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. That would be my suggestion or my thought. Mary says, I'm in Canada just to checked and Netflix. Her show is not in the top 10. And that would be one of her outlets for sure. So that's not a good sign. Christina said May through 1.5 episodes and gave up. I think that's where most people are. I think so much of the viewership comes from episodes 1 and 2. And trust me, guys, Netflix knows that and is worried about that. Because when it comes to conversion, you want something that keeps people attention. Like you want probably, I would say 60+% of your audience to go the entire way through. If only 10% of them are going all the way through, or maybe 15%, that's not worth it. That's not worth it. Creative Chaosify says, with love, Megan is not in the top 10 in Poland. Caramel Couture says, I happen to believe that every word of her cringe fest was scripted and the producers just had to make it the least offensive, painful to watch. I got through episode 1 and no more. I will see. Wendy Foreign says, good morning. We have Seabass says she lives in a mansion. Yes, she does. Gina B says, do you think Megan will pressure Netflix to film new episodes? She will look more down to earth like Pamela Anderson. Well, if she doesn't like any of the negative criticism, she thinks she's perfect and fine. She won't want to refilm because she's perfect. And we're all just crazy. Pinky Lynn says, please talk about the Sussex name again. Is the kids really Sussex, like legally? Legally, they shouldn't technically be. They shouldn't be. So they should be legally Mountbatten Windsor. They should still have the legal names they were born with. If they go in and change them to Sussex, that's a little crazy. Now, they might just go by school for simplicity's sake. They might just go by Archie Sussex and Lilybeth Sussex because it's shorter. I get that. Mountbatten Windsor is a mouthful, although technically they should go by that. But like I understand they go shortly by Sussex, and reportedly they do at school. It's a little silly though. Like upgrading them to a prince or princess was really a dumb idea by Harry and Meghan. And it just goes to show that they Like, although they left the royal family, they crave it, and they won't let Charles see the kids, but they will certainly make money off of him. I guess. I don't know. Canadian Beaver became a YouTube member. Why, thank you so much, Canadian Beaver. Good day. Thank you for all the support. Pinky Lynn said, like, did she legally change her name? That's a big question because nothing's preventing her from legally changing her name. She shouldn't, but she definitely could. Creative Chaosify says, with love, Meghan is not in the top 10 in Poland. Yep. Helen says, nauseatingly boring. Yes. Yes, it is. Seabass says she elevates everything because she's empty. Because she's nothing, empty. Yeah. Dolly says, what are these channels going to do when the monarchy ends? Oh man, there's so much still to discuss. The monarchy is not even close to ending, but there's so many other things. There's so many other royal families and everything, so many other things to talk about. But this just happened to be in the news this week. I'm hoping maybe to cover a royal event in person in April. We'll see if that happens. I'm really excited about that possibility though. But I mean, there's history and stuff. The royal content, it's endless. It's endless. That's the great thing. Grace, Creative Chaosify says, Grace, she told Mindy she speaks weird, pointed out that Delphina is tall and is disgusted by Roy Choi's music. Exactly. Missy Lulu says she didn't say anything about Princess Diana, like how pretty and beautiful or how she loved her style. Meghan is evil. I don't want to go that far, but was she definitely not thrilled to see her mother-in-law in that picture? Yep. Marjorie says her self-obsession and narcissism comes over so plainly in the show. I know people who didn't care about her now saying what an annoying, delusional person she is. Job done, Meghan. Yes. I think she came away watching with people liking her less. Butterbean Queen says new show idea. Give her $200 and send her to Walmart to shop for her family for the week. She must bring the kids. No nannies. Oh yeah, that would destroy her because she has somebody to do the shopping for her. She has somebody to take the kids to school for her. Jess says, good morning, Brittany. Always look forward to your insights. Why, thank you. Why, thank you. Sorry, I thought like Pippa was up here and I realized I shut the gate because she might have to, she might not be still feeling good. Michelle says, how is she going to drive her brand if it is all on social media? When are there some people who don't like it? There are some people who don't like it. So that's a big question. Like she could change her brand on social media. She just has to work on it. She just can't seem to work on it. Like honestly, guys, she should be posting something every other day or something on Instagram. And it can't be all the curated stuff. And it can't be the weird cutting off my head stuff constantly, the way she holds the camera. Like if she's going to sell this brand, she needs to be cooking in her kitchen for an audience every single day. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, it's hard, but that's life. Because I have this equipment set up all the time. I come in here a lot and film and edit and do all those sorts of things. It's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. Like in some ways, this job is kind of easy and fun, but it's hard. It takes work. It takes dedication. Meghan is not there. Wendy says at least 2 of her recipes are British Royal, Victoria sponge cake, and brown Windsor soup. Any others? Great point. Great point. And she mentions shortbread cookies because of that time I spent in England. I was like, number one, shortbread cookies are more well known for being Scottish, not English. But also, it's like, how lame are you that you're still trying to like subtly reference the royal family when you hated them for so long? Gretchen the First says, I have no kids, more free time than most, and more disposable income than most. The reason we have money is because I know not to waste it on crap Meghan wants us to and buy. Yep. Unpopular opinion. I don't think the royals should ever pull their titles. Just let Meghan bury herself. Creative Chaosify. So I understand that theory. The problem is that she's sort of dragging them all down with her. Just like she's dragging Harry and the kids down to her level, she drags everybody else down too. Because when she continues to use her title, she's muddling the brand and the monarchy, and that's dangerous. Spike Rack says, I heard that season 2 of With Hubris is already produced, and in the can, it has nothing to do with the show being well received. Exactly. Go fake yourself, Meghan. Says, you're very smart, so you're quickly become one of my favorite YouTubers. Why, thank you. I'm so glad you enjoy what we do here. It's a lot of fun. Like chatting with you guys. Hannah says, I think Meghan's name change has to do with her wanting to remove the bad history associated with Meghan Markle. Yeah, but like, again, could have been done well. Or she should have done it years ago. Like as soon as they moved to California, she just should have gone, here's the thing. She has to choose a lane. She either goes by Meghan Sussex or the Duchess of Sussex or Meghan Markle. Well, let's say she doesn't want to use Meghan Markle, but she either has to do Meghan Sussex or Duchess of Sussex. She can't do both. She's still wanting to be called in certain things the Duchess of Sussex, but in person, Duchess Meghan Sussex. It's like you can't really do that. You have to pick a lane because it still looks like hubris. Because part of the problem is everything she does looks like hubris. So the best way to address that particular situation is to sort of do the thing that's, you could say, hard, and go by one or the other. You can't go by both. Like if they had gone to California and said, we're not going to use our royal titles anymore, we're just going to go by Harry and Meghan Sussex, I think that would have been fine. The weird thing is now she's dropping Meghan Sussex, still wants to be the Duchess of Sussex, and the press will still always call her Meghan Markle. Again, you have too many competing things. One, a couple of them you cannot change, so it's not really worth it. But two, it's like she's like, even with the branding, we have what, 4 or 5 brand names now? Like, she's so confusing to an audience. And that also stirs, I think, a feeling of discontent and that she's not really trustworthy, to be quite honest. Oh, that felt really good to have some water. It felt amazing. All right, we have the Canadian Beaver says, I got Meghan Markle fatigue just listening to the reviews. I kind of hope nobody watches series 2. Thank you so much for the super chat. And I think that's what will happen, to be quite honest. More people will, I mean, people will still review season 2. But honestly, the curious is done. The curious have been satisfied. So she's either converted them or not converted them. I think her conversion in those aspects, I would say, are pretty minor. I would say 10 to 15%. I think 85, 90% were like, okay, my curiosity has been satisfied, unless she has some sort of big revelation or something in season 2 and somebody tells me about it. I'm not going to turn in because I wasted my time once. I'm not going to do it again. She also might have a lot more stiff competition in the fall. So she really might get trounced. Like, I don't know when Wednesday is coming out, but I think it's the fall. So if Wednesday is coming out, she'll get killed by that. So DS says, do you think Netflix is paying attention to what critics are saying so they can edit season 2 before it airs? Way it's more palatable. Pun and no pun intended. So this is an interesting question. Now, could they? Yes. Will they? I don't know, but I lean towards no. Because if you're Netflix, if I was Netflix, I'd want out of the deal. As far as we know, based on numerous reports, they are difficult to work with. It is difficult to get product from them, in this case, content, and they're not really worth it. They're not really worth it in many ways. So my thought would be, if I was, let's say, a member of the Netflix or whatever, is I would go, okay, let's just let her bury herself. That way we have fulfilled our contractual obligations and she can just be there in the corner and she can do the crazy things and we can go, uh-huh, uh-huh. And then we can go, and done. Like, that's sort of what I think. That's sort of what I think. Like, they have to know it's bad. They know the reviews and they had to know it was bad. We heard that when it came to Polo, Netflix watched it, was disappointed they weren't in it more, but also thought it was boring. And that's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. So I think we'll see more of this. I think that's what we'll see a lot more of, is this, that they might just let it run out, but they want it to be clear that they fulfilled all their contractual obligations and then can quietly let them go. That's what I think. But they might try to amend some things. But Meghan also might go, I don't want to do that. That's the thing. They're dealing with an incredibly difficult woman and an unreasonable woman, a woman who will not listen to the critiques. So if she's not going to listen to the critiques, just let it go. Just let her bury herself. What's the point of you stressing about it? All right, Peeper Jean, thank you so much for the super chat. Said, I saw her potentially dangerous bath salts recipe and was shocked Netflix left that in the show. Overloading with essential oils and no carrier oil to dilute is a recipe for itchy, burning skin. So yeah, either somebody at Netflix really didn't know that, which is entirely possible, or they were just like, yeah, just let her. The internet will write things, so just let the internet go wild. Let her bury herself. I think that could be definitely the way they go. Michelle says she wants to be Sussex now. Didn't she make her reference to the town? Did she prepare any dish from Sussex? Does she even acknowledge Sussex? No, she does not. If she could pick it out and tell me 5 things about it, I'd be shocked. Dia says, "Ew, do you see the part where her and Delphina picnic and she shares the straw with her? Gross." Well, and the dogs keep eating off the plates, which was kind of gross. I'm like, okay. Like my dog just, she would be into it, but I'd be like, no, no. A's Space Central says Meghan thinks she's above some Hollywood stars now when she was never an A-lister without the royal family. She can't enter the A-list circle. Yes, agreed, 100%. Laquite Lollyqueet, thank you so much for the super chat. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I get it right. And you ask, out of morbid curiosity, I made the pasta from episode 1. It was disgusting. I lived in Italy for 2 years, so I know pasta cooking. I got markled. Oh no! Oh no! Yeah, that would actually be fun. So I did film a jam episode. I think I'll try to get some of that stuff done today, finally. Although I'm also need to clean my place up a bit because it's gotten a bit messy. But this week has been a lot. But yeah, it's like you almost want to try stuff to see if it's decent at all. And that just didn't look particularly good. And it was kind of weird, like boiling hot water over it. Like you could bring the water to a boil in the pan, I think. And I don't know about you guys, but as a family, we always broke our spaghetti in half, or at least my mom did. I think that would make more sense. But of course, she had to stir it out and put it perfectly. But Daniel, you have to give him credit. He was a good little trooper. He said it was great, even though it probably wasn't. He was a little trooper. And he was like, it's wonderful. It's amazing. The best I've ever had. And you just got to wonder, is like, are any of those people actually telling the truth? Because I just don't know if they are. And again, granted, guys, I will tell you right now, if I try Meghan's thing and it's good, I will let you guys know. I'll let you know. I will tell you if I think it's good or if I think it's mid or if I think it's nothing that special. I got to compare it to, like, I guess other raspberry, but there's not that many raspberry jams. I don't think. I don't even know what she means by raspberry spread. Yeah, there's some from like Stonewall Kitchen, seedless raspberry jam. Sur la table, raspberry preserve. So like there's some out there. High Grove organic raspberry jam. Oh, guys, I should order this. Oh. Okay, my currency is USD. Oh, it's at Fortnum and Mason. Oh, organic raspberry and black. Well, it's preserves raspberry and blackberry. Oh, guys, I should so do that. We should so do a taste test. And somebody should put like an eye covering around me and I taste them and see what they're like. And I don't know. I'd have to tell my friend, like, let's do this. We'll do a taste test, which is better. But I don't like raspberries too. So who knows? Who knows? All right. We got Seabass. I'd love to hear what the staff of Netflix feel about working with her. NDAs the last 2 years. Well, I'm sure it's been fun. No, it's not clicking here. There we go. I think Meghan is angry she isn't a royal like Harry and her kids truly are. So saying Sussex for a last name connects her to being royal, which it really doesn't. Yeah, exactly. Candace says having a back and forth on Facebook with Sussex supporters over a comment of canceling Netflix. Got to use the soap story to make a point. Thanks to, yeah. Yeah, soap story. I don't think she used that in the show, although I was half watching, to be honest. Creative Chaosify says, is there anything interesting happening with the working royals? We need a breather. So the Commonwealth Day is on Monday, March 10th. We do also have a couple upcoming state visits. Maximum Alexander going to Kenya. Then we have Mary and Frederick going to France. We have the Singaporean Prime Minister coming to Luxembourg. I was hoping to maybe catch those, but I'm not going to. But And then we have Princess Isabella. She's turning 18 this year, and it's on this Monday after Easter. And so they're doing 2 events pre. One is on April 11th and one is on April 15th. So, and we have a couple of Buckingham Palace garden parties coming up in May, and there'll be a lot of big celebrations. So I do plan on going back to Europe. Hopefully early May is sort of the tentative plan. My poor puppy. She's going to be like, "Why are you leaving me again?" Going to whatchamacallit? What are we going to? Oh, with the end of World War II, there'll be a lot of big celebrations, a big fly past at Buckingham Palace. So I'm really hoping that we can I can go and cover that. That would be really cool. Pam Elizabeth says, "Good morning, Brittany. Perfectly stated. It's all about the look and not about the substance every single time." Exactly. Exactly. Meghan is all about the look. There's no substance. Gretchen the First says, another point Megyn Kelly made was if you look at places where it sounded like she cared about the guests, those were recorded in later. Yep, I imagine so. Gloria says, Rachel has no talent or nor interesting comment. She is plain and boring. Yeah, that's exactly the thing. She's plain and boring. And I think she could be better, but guys, she's so consumed, I think, with her radical insecurity that she feels like she always has to put a mask on and she can't be herself. And people see right through that. And she comes across as boring and controlled because she wants everything to be perfect. And it's not. Lynn Gideon says, I think Harry really wanted a family and Meghan played into those wants, even though clearly family doesn't matter to her. Exactly. Exactly. I don't think she's as maternal as she kind of claims to be. Butterbean Queen says Meghan is very basic. She is. Ms. Lafalot says, greetings from the UK. So please, Meghan dropped to 8th on Netflix here. Yeah. I think she's going to keep dropping and never come back. Space Central says Meghan is going to cry when Will and Kate become queen. Yeah, she probably will. She probably will. Dizfan says, Brittany, do you think Meghan cringes in the fact that she isn't as popular as her mother-in-law? I thought she worshipped her. I couldn't help but think about that when Drew had the picture. Oh, yeah. She revealed her true colors there 150%. Like she physically recoiled from her mother-in-law. And I think it does annoy her. Well, number one, she was annoyed that Drew went on and on and on about how much she loved Meghan's husband and his mother-in-law, but not really her. And then when Drew got the picture, she went again about how Diana was effervescent and it was the honor of my life to meet her. And Meghan's like, I'm right here. And it's obviously not the honor of your life to meet me. And so, like, I think she could, I mean, I think some of it is from a humor perspective, just simple disappointment. Like, she tries so incredibly hard to be as great as her mother in law, her sister in law, and everything, but she fails. And this again comes back to like expectations and being realistic with yourself and not constantly trying to be somebody else. If you're trying to constantly compete with somebody else, you will always lose. And that's, I think, what Meghan is experiencing here. Demetra says, I didn't watch her show. Thank goodness I saved my brain cells. Yeah. Yeah, it was sort of an exercise in torture. I feel like they could actually legitimately use this for torture. Dolly Holiday says, what do abusers do? Isolate their partner from friends and family. Check and check. Yep. Hard to avoid that. Really hard. Carte Blanche says, if you find a hair, you win. Oh, guys, those cookies on that show, it just gives me the heebie-jeebies so much. And then she thought like this was normal. And then Drew's like, nobody's ever done this before. And she's like trying to be sort of complimentary and going, it's just like, you're also like, because people don't do that because you can't, they probably could not, from a legal liability standpoint, actually pass out the cookies Meghan Markle made. I bet you they couldn't. And I didn't hear the end, but I was like, did she bring jam for everyone? If not everyone got jam, then this was really truly a pointless exercise. Lottie Luce says on her show, Meghan was sounded so disjointed, awkward, and stilted in her answers or stories, just as cringy to watch. Underlying creepy. Yeah, she did not do a good job. Hannah said the part one I don't get about the Sussex names is that if she changes her, and the kids are Mountbatten Windsors, the king would have to give an approval unless she gave their titles properly. So she can change hers legally. Like there's nothing preventing her from doing that, but that's not really how it's done. In royal circles, the kids are Mountbatten Windsors. Harry is also a Mountbatten Windsor. She cannot adopt that surname. She's not technically a blood royal. In royal families, no matter what, blood matters more. And so You're not blood to the system. Your blood now runs in the system, but your blood is not in the system. Ergo, you don't get that benefit. Wildcat Wilma says, hopefully Meghan and Harry won't be invited with William takes over. No, they won't. No, they won't. William will be the first to kind of Freya, you asked this question earlier. How many tiaras are in the British vault? 50. I'm still not sure. Still not sure, but oh man, that's a great question though. Drew says he's so amazing. I've always been such an uber fan of his. Meghan did not want to hear that. She's so desperate to hear. He's so lucky to have you. Never going to happen. Yeah. Drew was somewhat complimentary, but really she wasn't. She was effusive in her complimentaries on Harry and Diana, not on Meghan though. Not on Meghan. Akuna honey sticks. She says she always has those in her house. Why? I thought she harvested her own honey. Great point. Great point. Cindy says, "Thank you for sharing your opinion on her show. I had to stop watching after 10 minutes. So boring, a snooze fest. It really was boring. Genuinely, I was like, especially that first episode felt super tedious. I just kept going, is it over? Please, God, let it be over." Dolly Holiday says, Harry is trapped in his marriage and with child custody, she would have those kids forced to stay in the US. He is stuck. Yes, he is. That's why, again, guys, be careful who you marry. That is an important decision to make. And if you make the wrong decisions, you might be really, really screwed. Sophia says, hello from the UK, the only channel I watch for my royal updates. Why, thank you. Why, thank you so much. Ritz says the superiority complex does not work with her. She lacks emotional intelligence and does not respect others. Sad, really. Yes. Lady Saucy Mix says, good afternoon from sunny South Africa. Her series went from around 2 days ago to 6 yesterday and is sitting at 9 now. It's a quick drop. Yeah. Not surprised. Elaine Walsh says, Brittany, Neil Sean said last night that companies are approaching Harry and Meghan to merch their kids for different products. Harry doesn't want to merch kids, but Meghan might be right up her alley. Yeah, I 100% agree that believe that when the time comes, she was always going to merch the kids. Yep. Cinderella says, I'll answer that Prince William will never take the throne, as there won't be a throne to take, as both the king and Prince William are a couple of weef puppets selling the country down the drain. They're really not. They don't have, if you're worried about your country being sold down the drain, look to your politicians. They're the ones responsible for that. So if you want to change, then actually get the current prime minister and his team out. That would be the best way to go. John Miller says, how much are the ice cubes with the flowers in them? Big question. Big question. SCJ says, raspberry spread indicates crap, by the way, not real fruit. Yeah, she definitely tried to portray it as it's going to be like all natural, but I can't wait to get the ingredient list and actually see if that's true or not. Rosa says, in the grand scheme of the hierarchy, the spouses are just spouses. Another thing entirely to be of blood. Exactly. And that's not to say they don't have value, because everybody has value in the image of God. We are all equal in that way. But in certain worlds, in terms of like social circles and stuff like that, being blood is more important than just being a member of the family. Like they're all members of the family, but blood reigns supreme. And this is why, for example, Catherine, even though she was married to the future king of England, if she was by herself and she ran into Beatrice, Princess Anne, I think even Princess Alexandra and Eugenie, she would have to curtsy to them because they are blood royals. And Catherine gets her, and the reason for this is, if you don't know, is that Catherine gets her position from her husband. So when she is with her husband, they have that elevated position because he is the Duke of Cambridge previously, now the Prince of Wales. So he has that position, which is bequeathed to her by being married to him. But if she's on her own, she's still, in some ways, just Catherine Elizabeth Middleton. So although she has this royal title attached to him, without him and on her own, Beatrice, Eugenie, Alexandra, and Anne technically are higher. So she would curtsy to them. Not all royal families do it that way, I will say, but that is how the Brits do it. Missing 411 says raspberry was a wise choice. Stay objective, girls. It's just a personal it's a personal thing for me. I personally prefer strawberries. Strawberries are my favorite. So strawberries, I would say generally are more everybody's favorite. So I would say in the pantheon of choices, I mean, grape jelly is kind of a staple in the in the United States. Well, more grape jelly than grape jam, grape jelly. So like, I don't know. I got grape jelly and peanut butter in my sandwiches as a kid. So I didn't like strawberry jam as quite as much. That's never been a huge thing, but I mean, some people are. But I would argue that I would maybe not all Americans, but I would say the majority, like the preferences between would be between grape and strawberry jam. I would say raspberry is further down the pipe. And that is not a necessarily a dig on raspberries or anything. I'm just saying that's what I generally think. All right. DS says, great observation, Brittany. You didn't actually see them pass out the cookies. Are there legality reasons for that? Your thoughts? So DS, thank you so much for the super chat. And yes, so Meghan again made these at her home, not in an industrial kitchen that's subjected to any health standards. So, and then she took them across country to this show to quote unquote give to the audience and the crew. Now, the crew could have them, but this is essentially like it's like a home cooking project. Then it's not like this was professionally done. And she has videos of children, of other people helping with this. Like, and did the kids, stick their finger in their nose and then put their finger and do the fingerprint in the cookies? You don't know. It's a little scary to think about when you really consider it. So I would imagine for reasons to avoid potential lawsuits, they can't give out the cookies to the audience. They couldn't. It legally would be impossible because they would take a huge risk. What if somebody got sick? What if somebody found a fingernail in one of their cookies? What if somebody like didn't like X, Y, and Z? Like it's a huge risk. And because it's something personal. Now, if she had given a personal batch to Drew Barrymore and had the team cook some there, that would be fine. And that's, I think, generally what happens. So if you're a chef and you're going on the show and you're cooking something for somebody, you're telling them exactly what ingredients you need, and you're telling probably some chef exactly how to make the finished product so that when you're done, the finished product is there for you guys to taste if you can't wait for it to be fully cooked or something. And that is just the easiest way to go about it. And that way too, if you're sharing it with, the crowd or something, in the case like cookies, you have made sure that it's gone through and a kitchen that has been fully evaluated by the health department, that you have no issues of, let's say, salmonella or anything or any of those type of issues coming up. Like there's huge legal reasons why you should not have given out, and I hope they didn't. Like we don't have any indications of that. Maybe I'll put it out on Twitter and see if anybody from the audience actually got a cookie, because I doubt for legal reasons they could get the cookies Meghan made. Because if anybody got sick, if anybody had any issues, they could sue the Drew Barrymore show and Meghan because they weren't done in the professional capacity they should have been. And I think just because they weren't evaluated by the health department, that was like, it's a home cooking project, guys. Like they don't give home cooking projects out for people to eat generally because it's risky. So it didn't happen. Like for the life of me, cannot fathom they took those big things out and goes, here, bring the cookies. Especially since you also had the thing of them traveling across the country. And how were those things stored? Who touched them? Who used them? Does somebody go in and steal a cookie? That's a big deal. That's a big deal. So I don't think they passed out those cookies. I hope to goodness, just for the sake of everything, that they maybe made some to give out to the audience. Otherwise, she came in there, did the cooking thing. They didn't get jam. They didn't get cookies. They got nothing. Like she was too cheap to even freaking give them jam. If you want good press, give them jam. But she's, I think, too worried because she knows the jam isn't good or not as good as it should be. Because again, that producer did not look too impressed with those cookies. And she probably got a bit of that spread in there. And she was like, it's okay. So anyways, guys, I hope that helps. But yeah, there's a lot of legal reasons why she probably couldn't sell, like she couldn't get those out. And if the Drew Barrymore show was smart, she was not allowed to get them out. So Sharon says Netflix has to put a subscription up to help pay for Meghan's show. So they don't have to put up a subscription, but what they want to do is, if you have a show, people like, let's say Wednesday, You will notice that if Wednesday comes up, people pay for the subscription, immediately watch Wednesday, but you want them to watch more. So if Megan's show came up and literally, let's say 100 people signed up just to watch your show, when Wednesday gets 100,000, that's obviously a huge difference. Now, I don't think it's that much, but I would imagine Wednesday would get probably, I would say, well into the thousands. I don't think that many people signed up just to watch Megan's show. Dia says, why would Megan pack a book and video well, while she is traveling? Wouldn't it make more sense to video at home and keep the book there? Yeah, it doesn't make a ton of sense. Because they're still like, if they were FaceTiming, yeah, but she said recording and then giving it for somebody to play. And it's like, why couldn't your husband just read them the stinking book? Skippy DeMouse says that jam from the Palaces is delicious. I ordered online at all three to compare. They are all great. In the US, we can't have the honey shipped to us. I like the cookies sold by the Palaces too. Yeah, I actually have cookies here too from July. Of course, we've got the ever-present jam. But next time when I go, so guys, the plan is to go to Europe in April. So I will probably pick up quite a few things and maybe do giveaways this time. DP says the only customers I think she's going to attract will be the Sussex Squad and possibly Ms. Barrymore and the YouTube commentators who have to give it a try. It's a big no from everyone else. Yep, I agree with that. For sure. Carte Blanche says Monica and Friends. Yeah, she had a little something about jam, the way to get over my man, jam, something like that. Vicky says, I just wanted to tell your fans, please don't feed the kids flower petals dried or fresh. Love from Kansas. All right. Don't feed your kids flower. I wasn't going to. I don't even think the kids would eat it. I don't even know if I would eat it. I just go, ew, a flower. I don't want to eat a flower. Tammy says, that's actually unrelatable. Not relatable. I mean, seriously, who has a beehive and who in the world is going to make bath salts and homemade candles? Exactly. Although homemade candles aren't difficult to make, but you have to get the temperatures right to get the smell and the color and everything right. Aletha says, thanks for that explanation. I don't know if that was from me or somebody else, but whoever that was, you're welcome. Ritz says, the blinking, looking up and down and around, classic signs of lying. She's uncomfortable and it shows. Yeah, I got this sense too that Meghan didn't really want to be there after a while. So, Creative Chaos FI says, poor Thomas Markle. He stepped up to the plate when Mama Doria dumped her daughter, and now he gets dragged globally for feeding her fast food. Yeah. Well, no, it was her mom who liked the fast food at Jack in the Box. Wildcat Woman says, going to Lithuania. I caught the end of that discussion. When? So there is a new itinerary with the travel company I use, and it's to Christmas markets in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. So I really want to do that because I've never been there. That'd be a fun time to go. Creative Chaosify says, Miss Pippa, I will now be ignored. Yes, she will not be ignored. She's my baby. Nicole Duke says, is it possible part of Meghan's problem is that she is on the autism spectrum? It seems like autism mixed with narcissism. Maybe. I don't know. Diane says, you are great at watching that show, Brittany. Thank you. You're welcome. Through the Looking Glass with Alice, channel with Alice says, how will history write the story of millions spent on the winning of the sixth in line to the throne to the American QVC hostess? Not well. I don't think that'll go particularly well. P Pacific says, if you must try the peanut butter pretzels, they're from Trader Joe's 250 old school snack item. Yeah. Skippy DeMouse says, Joanna Gaines uses her kids in the show, but doesn't use them as being a no talent family, showing the kids from the back while we pause to catch their faces. Yeah. I just think Meghan, especially that kiss at the end to Archie, was so contrived. It just is like, okay, get a video bit of me kissing the kids. It's like, oh, come on. Like, how much? Because he almost actually was leaning away from her a little bit, which I thought was kind of interesting. Madame Savant says, I had one of my comments on X, but reactions blocked because they want to be heard, but I don't want to hear anymore but sycophants. Yeah. I do block quite a lot of people, especially the Sussex Squad people, because it's not worth it. Not worth it. Laquite says, Meghan's thumbprint cookies looked underfilled, cracked, and dry. They did. They didn't look very good. And trying to make them on the show looked really bad. Catherine M. Hoff says, can you imagine an episode with Love Meghan with Drew Barrymore? That would be hilarious watching Meghan try to herd cats and lose it. Yeah, I think that would be not very good. Sheriff in Texas said, Meghan could have jumped in numbers if she merches the kids. This could backfire if her interaction with the kids is abnormal, like the Frankie lady. Merging the kids' titles would be problematic. Yes. Again, the more Meghan reveals of herself, the more like challenging it is. Joan G says, will you plan a trip to Scotland? My husband and I would love to go there. So I did one last year, like, and then we really loved it, but it was also a lot in a bus. And I was like, after a while, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired of the bus. So I don't know if I'll do that. And it ended up being a really expensive trip. So I don't know if I'll do that next year. If I do, it might be for next year. And maybe I'll try to actually confirm it super early. That way it gives people a longer amount of time to save and pay for it because it was pretty pricey. Next year, we might do maybe a lot of trips next year. I don't know. Because I would like to do the Germany, Austria trip again because that was a great trip, guys. It was really, really well-paced, fun. It was awesome. CCA says, why does the media have no problem calling Markle by her title? Well, some of it, guys, is simply changing up the wording. So when you're writing a piece, if you had to just go Meghan, 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 it becomes tough. Or Sussex, 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 what have you. So I'd like use cosplay royals. I use Meghan, but you have to be clever in your language. And so the addition of using Duchess of Sussex means there's a different way to use her name so that it breaks up the monotony of having to say Meghan, Meghan, Meghan all the time. Clyde Wilson says, question, are you a princess if you marry a frog? No, but Meghan was the first to turn a prince into a frog. So bravo, Meghan Markle. Clarence Lawrence Jr. says, remember during the Oprah Winfrey interview, she said she almost lost her name by marrying into the BRF. Why is it all of a sudden wanting to lose her new surname? She's delusional. Yeah, she's all over the place. That's a problem. She's all over the place. And because she's constantly flip-flopping, trying to find something that works. And she's not she lacks focus, really does. Cute Ruth says, hey, from Germany. Watched the first of the show. Can't see more. I was really bored by it. And I love to cook, but nah. Yeah, I don't think she even offered any good cooking tips. CCA says, actually, the only reason Fergie kept her Duchess title after the divorce from Andrew was because it was in the divorce agreement. They don't normally keep their titles after a divorce. Yeah. Don't imagine Meghan might keep it. Sungirl says, on a happier note, I went to Highgrove website and did some retail therapy and all benefits charity. Meghan Markle's merch would sell better if it was for charitable causes. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, and guys, well, I want to do this in a video too, but can I might have done this in something before, but I'll tell this again. Guys, when you're designing a website, this is a terrible website design. Why? Because you have to scroll down to find the things to purchase. What do you want to do? You want to have things purchasable in the first thing. It's not a giant vanity picture. That's a terrible way. There should be a banner at the top so you can see the stinking products. Sorry. That's how websites work. In case you didn't know. I just know that because I used to work on some of the websites and stuff. And you want to have things as readily, like you want to avoid people having to scroll too much to find the content. And oh my gosh. Through the Looking Glass channel with Alice says, I know, honey, if her show goes back to the old group, the old format, that I will be there every show like I used to be. Letitia's show was one of my favorites. Yeah. Dolly says, I feel bad for actual Sussex. They don't deserve this. No, they don't. Elaine Walsh says, what if Tom and Samantha change their last name to Sussex? That would be hilarious because it's perfectly within their legal right in the United States to change their name to whatever the heck they want. Phoebe on Friends did it to Princess Consuela Banana Hammock. So yeah, they can do that. Oh man, that would actually be kind of funny. Not lying. Clyde Wilson says, I have a feeling King Charles is going to rue the day he sat on his hands doing instead of doing something about these two. Remember, morons still think they represent the BRF and they know it. Exactly. That's why they can't just sit there and let Harry and Meghan do their own thing forever. Creative Chaosify says, it's my opinion that if the titles are taken away, Harry and Meghan will continue to use them. After all, what is anyone going to do? Very true. Very true. Septitude says, do you think Harry and William are speaking again? No. Don't think William. Here's the thing. I hope William in his heart forgives Harry because that is healthier for him. However, that doesn't mean he invites Harry back into his life. That doesn't even mean he has to talk to him, really. And at this point, they can't trust Harry. And they have a lot of personal things going on right now with Catherine's health issues and everything. Why ever involve Harry in any second of that process at all? GL Hunter says the Sparkles went from number 4 completely off of Netflix 10 in Canada. Yeah, that's not good because Canada would be one of their biggest audiences, and they failed there. Carol says, "I love mixed berry jam and or mixed preserves. Very interesting." Teresa says, "Strawberry rhubarb." Yeah, my mom loved. My grandma used to make her always a strawberry rhubarb pie, which is very sugar filled. P Pacific says, "I highly recommend watching the Commonwealth service for Monday. Westminster Abbey, always moving, always a big royal family turnout." Yes, went there a couple of years ago to practice my photography skills for the coronation. It went okay. Bobby says, "I prefer strawberry jam. I'll eat raspberry, but it's not my favorite. Grape is a no-go for me." Yeah, I just feel like grape and strawberry are more popular in the States, to be quite honest. Uh, PN Newsy says, "Love fresh strawberries and have a patch of them. So also have red raspberry bushes. Best of both worlds." Yeah, somebody in my neighborhood, I want a little pot of strawberries. That would be awesome. So Demetra says, "Do you think she felt shame when Drew showered her the picture of Diana?" I don't know if it was shame. I think it was more revulsion and frustration that she's not as wonderful and amazing as her mother-in-law. Wildcat Wilma says, "Excellent point, which is why they leaked the page of her products to have illegal labels on them. They need the list of ingredients, allergies." Yes, they do. They do. CCA says, "Meghan Markle couldn't stand there was another Megan on the show." Yeah, I think she called her Meg, and I was like, "What's her name, Megan?" I was like, "Okay." Grace says she packs a thin book. She flies private. She could take a whole drunk. Yeah. Guys, I traveled with this book, and this book in my suitcase for a week. She could certainly pack a bigger book. Karen Miller says, "I was raised on raspberry petty and I'm raising my kids on raspberry. I prefer it over strawberry or grape. Always have." Very interesting. Yeah, some of it's just simply personal preference. But I think, but again, I just think Americans lean more towards grape and strawberry. Wildcat Woman says, "Remember they lied to the queen, telling her they wanted to be senior royals after she offered them to go to California so she could still act, but it meant no large wedding, no new titles." Exactly. Oh my goodness. Canadian Beaver says, "The world needs less hate and more chicken and hats." Yeah. Gretchen the First says, "Off topic, I am trying to pay a simple medical bill and I'm in AI hell." Yeah. Yeah, so something not that helpful sometimes. Marjorie says, "Megan cannot stick to one thing for more than a few weeks. She then lurches into the next thing. No brand can build on that kind of attitude. She might have ADD." It's a thought along with narcissism. Well, I think part of it is she claims she cares about this so much. I really don't think she cares. I really don't think she cares as much as she's saying she will. Lola La says, "Sorry, I came in late. So rude of me. Hello, everyone. Hello from Sweden." Peeper Jean says, "My mom made jellies and syrups out of plums, crab apples, and choke cherries when I was a kid. I didn't have store-bought jellies until I was in high school." Ooh, you're bad. We had grape jelly. Uh Heavenly says, "Markle could have FaceTimed the children instead of recording it herself." And there's actually a really cool moment from it's actually from Criminal Minds. And I do say it's kind of cool because it's actually the character, so it's AJ, I think her name was, the blonde, and she's reading a book to her son who's sick and she's out on the road. And she knows the book so well, she actually tells it to him from memory. And I thought that was really sweet, and, like, it was one of the things where it's like he was sick and just really wanted mom. It wasn't that dad couldn't fulfill his needs. It's just in that moment he was sick and he needed his mom. I think it's kind of crazy the idea that the kids can only go to sleep if Megan in particular reads the book to them. That just doesn't sound particularly healthy to me. Like if both of your parents are there and both of them you can read, like I don't think the kid will. Maybe. I could be totally wrong. You might have a really clingy child who needs only mom to do it. But I imagine other people can do it. And I imagine if they are traveling and, someone else is reading to them, it doesn't necessarily have to be mom. As Kyler says, "Well, God bless you." I thank you. Uh, Heather says, "Bless you," for sneezing. LG70, she was feeling revulsion over the fact she got to meet Diana. Very true. Brittany, you have been a trooper this week. Why, thank you. Missing 411 says she's just lazy. No direction. Exactly. I think that's actually the big problem is lazy and no direction. Lola Law says, I knew Drew only as an actress. The dog protected Drew from Meghan. Very true. NAA says, Ms. Pippa, Brittany needs tissues. Please go get her a pack of tissues. Aw. She would try. She would try in her little paws. The red-haired writer says, Meghan and Harry's children became prince and princess after Charles ascended to the throne. Will they lose them after William or keep them because their grandfather was former king? They would keep them, just like Beatrice and Eugenie kept their titles. But there could be a change in how titles are done, and they could lose them. Lady Saucy Mink says, and that has happened in other royal families. So the packaging for the jam is interesting, but it's not functional. It'll take too much space in the shop's closet. Looks too expensive to produce en masse and most likely a luxury item. Yeah. And it's like, it's just jam. Sharon Polk says in USA, you cannot even send homemade cookies to your children's classmates. Exactly. There's too much of a risk. Too much of a risk. LG70 says, as ever, is nothing more than her ego trip to stay in the headlines. She's terrified of being forgotten, and she would have been long forgotten if she had not snagged him. Exactly. Heather said, legally in America, the kids cannot be a prince and princess. Yes, that is true. Carte Blanche says, I made up stories for my daughters too, not just books. Yep. Later says, can Harry read? CAA says, Meghan's friends didn't really seem to know much about her and Harry. Yeah. Lady Cat says, in reality, she hates Diana because Diana will always be number one in Harry's heart, and she can never compete or with her or win. And she absolutely can't stand people praising Diana. Very true. Melly says, we've seen a few pictures of the kids with Meghan. They definitely aren't clinging to her. No. Marjorie says, thanks, Brittany. Amazing content this worked this week. Most appreciated. You are welcome. We'll wrap this up here in just a second. Viv Lala Frida says, what's the point of them and the kids having titles in America? Wouldn't it be more profitable for them to live somewhere where the titles have meaning? Probably. Creative Chaosify says, the white and gold packaging isn't very appealing. I mean, it's okay, but yeah, it's definitely not anything to write home about. Dolly Holiday says, Society of Social Climbers. Yes. Missing 411 says, can't believe anybody would buy Meghan's so-called hijacked items. I agree. So guys, we will go ahead and finish this up for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. So many amazing super chats. Oh, I forgot question the first. Sussex name won't change the algorithms or mine. Princess Catherine is still Kate on the internet, and Meghan has Markled herself. I bet money Princess Catherine doesn't care what the web trolls call her. Exactly. I don't think Catherine cares, and I'm really excited for her to just continue to be as amazing as she is. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful weekend. We will be busy over here because I've got some content to get done. So I got to work on that. So guys, again, thank you so much for watching, and I shall speak to you soon. Bye.